Ahoy, me
I
mateys!
was not ready
and,
for that.
and welcome to another small screen Star Wars. As always, I'm Julian and back in the studio with
Ooh.
Rachel Wilkinson.
Hello.
And actually, my first mate, Winston's here too. You
Winston
just
is
can't really
here,
see him.
yeah.
He'll pop his head up eventually looking for pets and
Yeah.
attention. We're going to be talking about Skeleton Crew, or as they like to call it, Star Wars : Skeleton Crew. Just in case people didn't know that it was a Star Wars show.
Okay.
And you know what? We are so back.
We're so back.
To be honest, it's so
Yeah.
it's pretty
It
good.
is good.
To be honest.
It's fun.
Which here's what I didn't know about myself.
Oh, okay.
So actually, I did know this. I forget it every once in a while. I love pirates.
Right?
I love pirates. I think
Pirates
pirates
are
are
the
so
best.
fun. I watched
Yeah.
I watched all of Black Sails. Do you know the show Black Sails?
I didn't watch it, but I've heard of it, yes.
It's like a prequel to Treasure Island,
Okay,
but it's like
yeah.
very serious.
Oh.
It's a Michael Bay produced
Okay.
show. But it's set in the, with Blackbeard
Yeah.
and Long John Silver and all of
Fun.
them. Yeah.
Pirates are always fun.
Yeah, and then I watched I can't remember what it was called, the Taika Waititi show about pirates. Our Flag Means Death.
Oh,
That's what-
okay.
and there's only 2 seasons and then it was
Is it
canceled.
goofy?
Which is, it's super
Ooh, I
goofy,
feel
but
like I
it's
like it.
so and there's one character who's like very serious.
Okay.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of the first mate droid in this.
Okay.
Who's like very serious about being a pirate.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
been surrounded by silly stuff. So highly recommend both those shows. Yeah, I think pirates are cool as hell.
Yeah.
And the thing about this show is that they're treating pirates like the cartoon version of pirates,
Right.
which is the fun version of them.
Mhm.
Because the real world version, there's a lot of like sickness and missing teeth and
Yeah.
scurvy and stuff, and there's not a lot of romanticism there. But
No.
the Captain Hook and Treasure Island,
Mhm.
Muppet Treasure Island especially,
Muppet Treasure Island.
is like that's where I'm coming at it from,
Yeah.
And this is very Muppets Treasure Island style, a little bit more
More
serious
serious.
than that.
I'd say a little bit more serious.
Slightly.
It's like getting into Pirates of the Caribbean a little bit. Like
Yeah.
kind of goofy but serious. Like it's got, But I mean, we're only 2 episodes in, so could get goofy
Yeah,
or
and
could
I mean,
get more serious.
To be honest, I mean, Captain Jack from the Pirates of the Caribbean
Yeah.
movies, he's essentially magic. So we have
Essentially
like
magic.
we have a Jedi, and Jedi are essentially magic.
Yeah.
So it's like as long as he's not going around saying, "Where's the what about the rum?"
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of rum,
Speaking of rum.
back from Costa Rica, I brought a bottle of
Ooh.
Ron Centenario? Ren Centenario. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. It's a 5-year age. It was a really good deal at the airport.
At the airport.
So
okay.
yeah, well, duty free, So
Was
we're
it-
gonna have in honor of this
In honor of pirates.
pirates, we're gonna drink some
Yeah.
rum,
Got it.
yo ho. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't have called Winston my first mate. Technically, you're the first mate.
That's good for me. It's a lot.
Winston is a
I don't know what would you call him.
he's the who's the guy who runs up to the top of the
Yeah.
thing and then looks out. You know what I'm talking about? Ah, man, I wish I remembered all these pirate terms. I should have like a handy guide of pirate terms ready
Winston
to go.
can be second mate.
Second mate
Yeah.
Winston.
He can be first mate. I can just be a deckhand. It's fine.
Okay. Swab the deck. Yo ho. Okay, so yeah, we're talking about Skeleton Crew. A few things to I guess acknowledge, clean up before we get into the 2-episode premiere breakdown recap.
Mhm.
So if you're new here to the show, we're going to be doing full spoilers for the first 2 episodes, but really anything in Star Wars is up for grabs.
Yeah.
So just if we talk about something you're not familiar, that's totally fine. There's 2 ways you can approach it. You could go to Wikipedia and look it up yourself, or you could send us an email, towerbabblepodcast@gmail.com, ask us, and then we'll come back
Yeah.
to you.
Sure.
Or if you're here watching us live, because we record these live, today's a Tuesday. Are they every Monday going
I don't
forward
know.
now?
I don't know if it's every Monday or if they're going to switch to Wednesdays because they've done this before where they do the release on a Monday
you're
and then they
right.
switch to the Wednesdays. So I
Okay, so
don't
we'll
know.
find out. It's usually the day after they drop in the evening around 7 o'clock Central. Typically, we're doing this one a little early because I have a hockey game.
Yes. Very important hockey
It
game.
is very important. I've missed 5 games
That
while I
does
was
suck,
away,
Yeah.
and I got 2 warm-up skates in
Ah,
before.
okay.
I got one in this morning, and then one a couple days ago. I had to. I got. It's good that I did this because a little inside baseball for. Do you like the rum? Is it good?
It is good. I don't think I've ever drank rum straight, like whiskey.
Well,
But it is good like that.
I prefer this over whiskey because it's sweeter.
Yeah.
It's a little smoother, in my opinion. And this one's not very like aggressive at only 5 years age.
It's nice.
But even though it's only 5, I think it has the flavor profiles of something that's been aged for longer, in my opinion. I'm no rum expert, but I play one on TV. So yeah, I got my skate blades. Normally I have them 3/4 inch, but I had them reduced to 1/2 inch because the ice is now harder than it because it's colder now. Because a month and a half ago it was still pretty warm and nice.
Oh yeah.
And the ice is soft inside when it's warm
Yeah.
out. When the ice gets harder, the wider skate blade doesn't dig in as much, so I'm going to 1/2 inch now. It digs in a bit more into the
This
harder
is also
ice.
a skate blade podcast, in case you didn't.
Yeah. This is a new
segment.
A new
Called
segment.
Julian Skate Blades.
I'll keep you guys updated. I only have 2 goals this season, but I'm working up
Nice.
to more. I'm feeling confident that tonight I'm gonna be able to score at least 1 goal. Just a fresh, like beginner's luck style, coming back from a big break.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. What's important is that we're live on Twitch and YouTube. You can subscribe. Find us, Tower of Babel Podcast on there. You'll find us. Subscribe, and you'll get notifications when we go live. We are also now mostly migrated over off of Twitter/X to Blue Sky. This is
Yeah.
something we've talked a little bit about on the bonus episode we did a couple weeks ago. And I've mentioned it on the regular show at least once. But Blue Sky, it's the new, better Twitter.
It's nice over there.
It's nice
like
over
it.
there. So you can find us at. Actually, how does it work?
At
Tower. What am I reading here? Is it at
Yeah.
towerbabble.ca?
Yeah. So
If you search
you
that?
can search that. Yeah. If you just search Tower of Babel on Blue Sky, it'll come up.
Yeah.
But yeah, our tag is at towerbabble.ca. Because
Yes.
you can use your website as
Yes.
a
As like
user tag, whatever.
Yeah, it's actually
It's
really
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. It allows you to verify
Mhm.
with your own domain, and then that way you know it's us for
Yeah.
sure, and there's no one pretending
Yeah.
to be us. Although we're not big enough for people to do that.
No.
But either way,
But
if it protects
I
us
had
from that.
the real Mark Hamill reply to one of my Blue Skies the other day, telling me that it was his backup account and that I could DM him anytime.
Okay, well, if you're my grandmother, she would believe you.
And I was like, oh, that sounds real.
My grandmother was talking to somebody who was trying to scam
Oh,
her.
no.
She believed that it was the actor from
No.
something Creek on
Schitt's
Netflix.
Creek?
No, it's like this really basic like Hallmark style story.
No.
Anyway, she was like, yeah, I was talking to this actor. He's super nice. She's like, it's saying, I'm like, oh no,
Oh,
Mama,
no.
It's so funny.
Is this your grandma who's English? Is it
No,
the best?
my Hungarian one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no.
She's just very gullible
Well,
in that kind
I
with that kind
mean,
of stuff.
older people are. That's why they get preyed on. It's
Oh yeah, she's
terrible.
already been scammed once before.
Yeah.
Lost a lot of
Ugh.
money.
I don't.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's
Anyway,
terrible.
it's super shitty. Don't scam old people.
Yeah, come on.
Don't be like Lex Luthor from that bad Superman movie with Brandon Ralph.
Yeah, scam billionaires.
Superman
yeah.
Returns. Yeah. Remember he like befriends this old lady to like steal her fortune.
Mhm.
Yeah. Kevin Spacey, terrible person, great actor,
Person.
and a very good Lex Luthor, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Again, terrible person, which is maybe why he's good for Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Also should note that it's the 5-year anniversary of small screen Star Wars, which
It is.
I didn't notice. Thankfully, there is a
There's someone else keeping
there's
track.
someone paying attention to this.
Because it's not us.
Yeah. How do I had taken a screenshot of this. Hold on one second. I'll pull it up.
It was on Twitter threads. I can't remember where it was on.
It was on a bunch of stuff. It was on Instagram
Okay.
and Twitter,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, what the heck? Oh yeah, here we go. Gotta go to my screenshots in my phone. That's where I save everything. Okay, so this is from Star Wars Now This.
Ah, yes. Okay.
And they said Star Wars television show podcasting for half a decade. Canada-based Tower of Babel podcast, Small Screen Star Wars, was premiered 5 years ago on November 12th, 2019.
So nice.
So, I guess that technically it was a month ago, but feels like it was just
Well,
yesterday.
and technically that first episode was just you by yourself anyway, so that one doesn't count.
Yeah, you're right.
Until I bullied my way here.
Well,
And here I am 5 years later.
I don't know if you was. I wouldn't put it.
I didn't
you were.
bully.
You were definitely invited.
I invited myself.
Anyway, this account does this for like a bunch of Star Wars
it's
stuff.
cool.
It's very cool. I don't know if it's someone is doing this by hand or if it's automated in some way, but Daniel at Star Wars Now This, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. That's cool.
It's very very kind of
Fun little
nice
shout
shout
out. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to shower us in gifts for our 5-year anniversary, please feel free to do so. towerrebelpodcast.ca. Okay. Let's get into just two little quick news stories. Then
Okay.
then we'll get into everything. So these are super quick. One of them being Tony Gilroy saying that he received no notes,
Oh.
which is one of my favorite catchphrases.
No notes. Yeah.
No notes. From Lucasfilm on Andor Season 2. He says, quote, "The critical appreciation of the show was really helpful. You're welcome." Okay?
You're welcome. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Directly.
If not essential in helping Disney choke down the price of what this is. Isn't that hilarious?
I love that.
Just no shits from Tony Gilroy.
I like it.
In terms of creative notes, no one has come to me and said, no, they shouldn't say that. Which I'm sure they did say in Season 1 because it was
Probably.
originally supposed to be fuck the Empire
Ah.
when she says stop the Empire in the season finale.
Ah.
Oh, R.I.P. What was her name? His mom? Oh, so cool. The lady from Harry Potter. And, she was that crazy lady. Anyway.
Professor Trelawney?
I don't remember.
Is she like the
Curly hair.
with big
little
big
weird.
Coke bottle glasses?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
She's like the the divination teacher.
Anyway, she was Andor's mom.
Right. Yes, I know who you're
in the-
talking about.
yeah.
Wasn't there like
Yeah.
like Maeve or started with an M? I think
Maeve.
it's not Maeve.
No, that's from that other show.
Yeah, I know. There's an M name.
Anyway, that's all to say that Tony Gilroy seems like are telling us that whatever season 2 is going to be, it's entirely his concept, which could be really good. Or sometimes no notes is a bad thing. I think with Tony Gilroy, I think in this case he's earned it. So
Marva.
Maeve,
was close.
Marva.
I knew it had A's and a V.
Yeah. Okay.
Marva.
Yeah. She was so.
Yeah, very good.
Marva. Remember the droid who was stuttering? Oh yeah. Anyway, great show. Can't wait to rewatch
Yeah.
season 1 in
Ooh,
anticipation
yeah.
of season 2, which is coming just around the corner. Truly some of the best Star Wars you'll ever see. Anyway, Visions season 3. Speaking of really great Star Wars, Star Wars Visions, the anthology series of non-canonical Star Wars stories told by Japanese anime studios, is returning for a 3rd season, and they'll be working with 9 different anime studios out of Japan this year.
I thought Visions 2 wasn't all Japanese, or was it? I thought there were.
It's unclear. Maybe there's a couple Korean ones in
I
there.
don't know. Okay, I could be wrong. I thought there was a whole mix, but maybe I'm mixing up something else.
I think in general, it's
usually it's like
designed
anime.
around Japan.
Yeah. Very cool though.
So yeah, we've covered each of those. They are again super different from what we're normally doing. But
Love it.
as I said on Blue Sky, which again follow us on there, it's really important. we build up an audience
right?
on there. It's a good exercise in expanding or exploring some of our critical skills outside of just the normal schlock we're normally watching.
Yeah.
No offense to Star Wars, but sometimes it's not good. So this is helpful to kind of expand kind of how we look at the stories and how we can look at things that are a lot more abstract often. Anyway, so Visions season 3, we don't have a date next year, 2025. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's get into our overall thoughts on this 2-episode premiere of Star Wars: Skeleton Crew. Rachel, what did you
It
think?
was so fun. It was so fun. The opening scene was wild.
Yes.
I was not expecting that tone in the opening scene. I was like, oh, okay. I thought this was a little bit more of a kids show. Kind of is, but
It
that
definitely
didn't
is.
Feel
Yeah.
that part I don't know didn't. But there was just like so many different things, especially in the first episode, like different things we hadn't seen before in Star Wars, which I was really excited about. Like a whole different. definitely a different planet, but it was like a different lifestyle than we've
It's a
seen
vibe.
before. Yeah.
It's much more, again, it's that suburban ET
Yeah.
vibe, which, to be honest, is the low point for me in the
What?
2 episodes.
Really?
I didn't.
I
yeah,
thought
I
it
didn't.
was so cool.
It feels too. It's too close to home.
I liked it. I thought it was kind of neat to see like a suburban normal, like
Quote unquote normal.
like our normal, like that was
Right.
like that just looks like a neighborhood, and these are just like kids hanging out and
Exactly.
they're going to school. Like we don't see kids going to school ever in Star Wars because you just see.
Well, we did see the
a
kids
little
on.
bit, I guess, in Mando.
Yes, in
In
Mando.
But I
Yeah.
don't know. I just like them being on a bus and like all. It was just so cute to me.
Yeah,
but I liked it.
like I think what works is the chemistry. All the
Yeah,
characters have great
They do,
chemistry,
yeah.
but when I'm coming for Star Wars, I'm not looking for
Fair.
suburban normal,
Fair, but
right? But it does allow them to really juxtapose that with the pirate stuff, which is obviously very not suburban
yeah.
normal.
I feel like we're so used to seeing like Coruscant or the desert or like huts.
Yeah, I mean,
It's-
imagine if we started on
yeah.
Tatooine
Oh, God.
again.
It'd be brutal. But it's
So
just cool. Like
crazy.
they're in their own little world and then they're like pulled out of it, right? So it's very neat. But
I like
cool
that they
concept.
set up a mystery around what's
Yeah.
going on with that whole planet to begin with.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's different from everything else we've seen in Star Wars. We see it as quote unquote like normal North American American suburb normal, but in Star Wars that would be very weird. So they start laying down the bricks for a mystery around what the heck's even going on there to begin with.
yeah, like where, yeah, exactly. It's like
Right.
Treasure Island, but a planet. Treasure Planet.
Yeah, I think, by the way, I think the allusion, like the similarities to Treasure Island, as we talked about earlier, are like very front and center. They talked about E.T. and some of the like the Spielbergian style adventure.
Yeah.
Goonies, obviously, another one. They're not shying away from
No,
that as being
right.
like an inspiration.
It's also like opposite, right? Because usually it's like they're trying to find it's explorers trying to find Treasure Planet, and this is like kind of opposite. Like they,
yeah, I mean, but like in
pulled out of it
E.T. and in Goonies, it's a little bit more like they fall into that by accident.
I have not seen E.T.
You never seen E.T.?
No.
Well, they find an alien.
I know the premise, and he like rides on a bike, and they go back home, and he
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
sees pieces.
Right. So like in the sense that like they didn't go searching for that
No,
alien, they
he
kind of
shows
found
up.
them. So the adventure finds them
Yeah,
in this
yeah.
one a little bit,
It's,
right?
It's cute. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's very fun so far, and I'm engaged in it. I like it so far.
I think it has some of the best energy.
Yeah.
If the vibes are good, if I may,
Absolutely, yeah.
if I can steal a
Pirates
term
are
that
so
the kids
fun
say.
in Star Wars. Pirates have always been fun in Star Wars.
I mean,
It's-
have they always
yes,
been
they're
fun?
always fun.
Hondo is a bit
Hondo
much.
Is always fun.
He's a bit much,
love
don't you think?
Hondo.
Doesn't he ever get like on your
No,
nerves
I-
for being like
I
too wacky?
no, I like him.
So, because like his version of piracy, the Hondo stuff is very like slapstick, wacky,
yeah,
doodle doo.
yeah.
You
His
know?
stuff is very like he's very self-serving and he's kind of goofy, but he kills people and he does bad stuff. But I just feel like he's still very like
Well, he's kind of
he's
like
a very
the Captain
warm,
Jack.
Yeah, he's a warm pirate to me. Like
He's the Pirates of the Caribbean style
Yeah.
like pirate who's like, I will kill you, but only if I absolutely have to, and
yeah.
you're probably a bad
yeah,
guy.
exactly. It's like he's
You know.
good with kids. Like Hondo's not
Sure.
gonna kill kids. He's like
I mean, he might
Might.
if it was like if there's enough money in it.
even then, I feel like he has a line as a pirate.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, the thing
I
is,
wonder if we'll see him.
that's the most piracy we've seen until Mando season
Yes.
3,
Yeah.
when we got pirate captain,
Moss
pirate
Man?
king, the weed,
Yeah.
the guy with the
I was
who's
not
made out
a
of
fan- I was
grass.
not a fan
Yeah,
Of his
I
look.
have his name around here somewhere. Hold on. There's a whole article about this on StarWars.com called "Who Are the Pirates in the New Republic,"
Mm-hmm.
and they do talk about Pirate King Gorian Shard.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's dead, but we don't know this like the wider story of this. We also know that the Nikto Vane
Mm-hmm.
survived that season of Mando.
Right.
I'm pretty sure he's the Nikto we see later in episode 2 of Skeleton Crew. The joke they make in the Screen Crush thing is that like, what, you can't tell
A Nikto
Niktos
apart,
apart?
yeah.
And he's like, no, I cannot.
Yeah.
So like
So wait, they think that this Nikto
this
is the
guy,
same
I'm
one?
pretty sure it's the
Okay.
same guy.
It's not Hondo.
It's not Hondo.
Yeah.
No, because he would have his same voice. We
Yeah.
would recognize him
I-
by his
I
voice.
want to see Hondo. I know it
He
makes
might
the world
he might
small,
pop up.
but I
But I mean,
would
we're
just
dealing
be-
with pirates, so
I
it's
know,
always
it'd be
possible
sweet, 'cause
now.
I like Hondo.
I think, given the nature of the show, I think the chance of seeing Hondo got to be like 80%.
I would say so too, but we'll see. I just like the general vibe of all the pirates because you get to see all sorts of different species that we have seen before, like the kind of like not pug dog, but the bulldog looking ones
Yes.
from Mando. We saw some of
Yes.
those guys, the Nyctos.
There's
It's
so
like,
many. The Ishi-Tibs
yeah,
and like
it's
man, that
fun.
Ishi-Tib who gets shot in the eye.
Ooh, I know.
So, but then he just like turns his
Doesn't
head. It's like
matter.
so cool.
He's
Then
a
obviously, of
badass pirate.
course, we get the werewolf pirate
Yeah,
who's
he
super
he
cool.
does just look like a werewolf. I don't know how I feel about him yet. We'll see.
Okay, well, the backstory is that there was an alien of his style design with the red eyes and the werewolf mask.
I thought
From the original cut of Star Wars: A New Hope, before
okay.
Lucas updated
I
it.
thought it looked kind of familiar, but I was like, oh, maybe I'm thinking about it from like some other like medium. But
And he's really in that original version of the not updated version of A New Hope. He's sitting in the shadows, and you just really see his eyes glowing.
Right, because isn't he supposed to be kind of in with Bosk and them? Like he's in
Yeah,
that
I think
same-
so, but I think I don't know because Bosk doesn't appear until
I guess Bosk
Empire.
isn't a pirate, but
Yeah. So anyway, he's in the cantina.
in the cantina, right.
So-
right.
They essentially at that point they were just grabbing as many costumes they could
Right,
and whatever.
and
So
just-
this was literally just a werewolf
Yeah.
mask. So they're like, well, in the like the remaster, the special edition, they replaced that shot with a different
Alien, or like an
animated
yeah,
alien,
CG.
like a CGI alien.
Because they're like, oh, maybe that's a bit too.
Yeah. So, but they brought him back for this. So, recanonizing the
Fun.
werewolves
Werewolf
of Star
brand.
Wars, and also his voice is super cool.
Yeah, he does have a cool voice.
Um,
What's his name?
He's got a cool name too.
It's not Scar, but
No, his name is. Oh man, it's got like a dog theme
It's
name
got a
to it. I
dog
feel like
theme
it.
name.
Brutus.
Brutus.
Yeah, that's a
Brutus,
dog
yeah.
name. Yeah.
See, I
Um,
picked up more like Roman, like Julius Caesar.
Well, he's also Brutus is
Yeah.
also I mean a character
what
in
I
the
was-
Bible,
Yeah.
etc. But we don't need to get into the biblical
No.
backstory here. I think ultimately Brutus mostly just a dog themed name for a scary dog
Yeah.
themed
Scary
character.
dog. No Winston.
No, Winston's such a sweetheart. Aren't you Winston? You're such a boy. Any other thoughts on the overall stuff?
No, I don't think so. I just like, I liked it. I like the feel of it so far.
So I'll just quickly go through. Slow start, maybe.
What?
I thought it had a
Like the
slow
opening
start.
scene, you thought it was a slow start?
No.
Oh, okay.
The first
Oh, I see.
episode.
Okay, I was like,
After
what are you talking
the
about?
prologue is great.
Yeah.
Then we get into the suburbia, and I think it takes a while to get going again from there.
Okay.
But as I said before, chemistry is good between the leads, and I think that
Yeah.
helps carry things along until we get into episode 2. And episode 2 goes at about a mile a minute, and I think has great pacing, great energy, great momentum. I like, as I mentioned before, the added mystery. It's compelling. Stakes feel high, despite the fact
Yeah.
that there's kids involved, which might be like part of it, because like you don't want to see kids get hurt, which helps I think keep the stakes high.
Right, yeah.
And as long as you keep violence levels high in and around them,
Yeah.
I think it helps create a sense of danger.
It does, yeah.
Anyway, this balances well between like everything. I think balances well between the mission to get home and the mystery around what home is.
Right.
I think those are like a complementary aspects of the story.
Yeah.
The effects look great. Lots of practical stuff. A little bit more CGI heavy on at Atten, I think, especially with the city. I think it looked a little bit CGI. But largely speaking, pretty happy with it. The music is good. I like the pirate theme that they came
Yeah.
up with. Very jaunty, Treasure Island-ish in its way. And this music is done by Michael Giacchino's son. Michael Giacchino, who did the music for Rogue One and a million other things, worked with John Watts a lot on the Spider-Man movies. So John Watts, who's a writer, and he also directs the first episode. You'd recognize him from Spider-Man: Homecoming
Okay, yeah.
and all, etc. So, and he knows how to work with kids, and
Yeah, that makes
and so anyway, it's I think it's a good get. Producing, writing, directs the first episode. He might direct others. And then again, as I said, by the middle of episode 2, especially, I think we're off and running. And unless they stumble a little bit in episode 3, but we're full bore with kind of all our main leads by the end of the second episode. So we should. I'm not worried about that. All right, let's get into the breakdown. Season 1, Episode 1, titled "This Could Be a Real Adventure," which is a reference to a line said in the episode talking about, hey, they don't have to pretend anymore. They don't have to pretend. This is a real adventure. A little bit. This is like a cliche kids movie thing about like now getting in deep with the actual adventure this time. It's fun. I like that we're not trying to be coy and playful with the titles this time. It's just let's just be. You can even reference lines from the show. It's fine. The logline is: kids from an ordinary planet discover a surprising secret. As I mentioned before, directed by John Watts, written by Christopher Ford and John Watts. Before we get into the actual episode itself, we of course need to mention that there's always a new Star Wars intro before all these new Star Wars shows. So here's what we got for the helmets / droids featured in this. We have, over, by the way, a lovely twinkling piano harp score. Or string, I don't know if it's harp, but some strings in there and piano. I like it. We have R2-D2, Pirate Captain Silvo, who we meet in the prologue, Star Tours droid bus driver RX-24. We've seen it in a bunch of different things, but originally from Star Tours in Disneyland.
That one I could not clock. I didn't know what it was.
The bus driver?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Like,
So anyway, it appears as the bus driver later in this episode.
Okay.
Of course, we see C-3PO, Darth Vader. Vader twice, technically, because Anakin pod racing in his little pod racing helmet with his little round goggles, which is good because they do reference a line from Episode 1.
They do.
Wizard. Which I just really start using more often.
Yeah.
We also get the safety cop / truancy droid, the Mandalorian helmet, probably Mando, and a pirate droid, the pirate droid SM-33. Or do you want to get into your
my theory?
Your theory on this?
His name is Smee because obviously Star Wars loves to do that. It's like how Chopper is C110P, but it spells chop. So SM-33, SMEE, Smee.
Yes,
because
in elite speak.
Yeah, because Smee is Captain Hook's like right hand pirate buddy.
Yeah, his first mate.
His first mate. So I was like, because he's a pirate droid on a pirate ship. I was like, his name's totally Smee.
And by the way, SM-33 is maybe my favorite part of these two episodes. I just think so. Played by Nick Frost, who you might recognize from lots of hilarious British comedies.
Okay.
Is so good. He has got like the perfect pirate voice, and then like the way that they've written him to be both like have a piratey vibe, but also be kind of like curious is I think a masterstroke. It's so good because I think everyone was thinking that this show was just going to be the kids and what's his name?
Oh, and Jude Law,
and Jude Law, but we're gonna now also have this.
They better fix him. I'm assuming they will.
Like that's part 2 of their plan. Step 2. So yeah, I mean, I think that combination is going to work really well.
It's fun.
Always got to have a good sassy droid, and this is a high level bar.
A sassy droid that can also like protect you. You need some like another level of protection for these kids. Obviously, like Jude Law can't protect 4 kids.
Yeah, and also, well, I mean, he could. He seems like he is a part Jedi, although he doesn't admit that he's a Jedi. He just says shh. So he could be. He could be anything that he has. Force powers, but it doesn't make him a Jedi.
Yeah, that's true. Do we know exactly in the timeline where this is, or not really? They haven't really.
Not exactly. We know that it's during the era of the New Republic.
Yeah, but that's 30 years. Like, so it's like.
That's it. That's all we know.
Yeah, so it's like he could be. I don't know. Yeah.
I think the implication is if that's vain, that this is post Mando season 3, that we're continuing on the timeline in a similar fashion that we have since the end of Mando season 3.
Yeah, because
that's
it's
my
just
hunch.
Like, how soon is it? Like, is he too old to have been, like, for Luke Skywalker to know who he was? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's too old to be a Jedi. I think at this point he's what, 40, 50?
He's got. I mean, how old is Jude Law as a person?
I mean, I don't know. He's got to be.
I mean, we could use that as a benchmark.
I just mean
Jude
like
Law
he'd be
age.
too old to have probably trained as a Jedi.
He's 51. Looks great for 51.
He does look great for 51. But
I hope I look that good at 51.
Right? But that's what I mean. He's like too old. He's probably older than Luke Skywalker.
He has the most widow's peak of any person in the world. Does it?
Yeah, I feel like he rocks it.
It gives him an aura of maturity, would you say?
Yeah, like sometimes
As a 51-year-old man, you'd hope he has that, yeah.
sometimes when men have those like heavy, like receding hairlines, it's like just shave it. Like it looks bad. Just
Right, but he's
holding on.
got flush hair everywhere else,
Yeah.
just not
Looks
just like
good.
his forehead goes all the way back to the top of his head,
Yeah.
basically.
Rocks it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean he certainly pulls it off.
Yeah.
It's just worth noting.
Yeah.
I think. Okay, where were we? So we went through all the opening helmets. Let's talk about the opening crawl. We don't do crawls unless it's a movie.
Right.
So every version of the show that's done like preamble text has done it in a different way. We got the red version in the that just appeared on the screen.
Right.
It was a bit of a crawl.
Yeah.
It was crawling,
was
but it didn't
crawling, but-
crawl into the distance.
Right.
It went just up and down.
Yeah.
That was in Clone Wars season 6.
Yes.
And then we've gotten it in Ahsoka. And so it's come in different varieties, colors, themes. This one is in the same variety of blue that the A Long Time, like Far, Far Away,
Right.
etc. I've always loved that blue.
Mhm.
I think it's it really stands out nicely against the star
Yeah.
scape.
Starscape.
So we had the opening crawl, this preamble. I'll just read it. Quote, "Since the fall of the Empire, the New Republic has maintained order, and yet remote hyperspace routes are increasingly plagued by piracy. These pirates boldly brand their armored hulls as a sign to all ships, surrender or die." Bum, bum, bum. Which, of course, helps us explain why Pirate King Gorian Shard had such weird paint
Yeah.
job on his giant
But
ship.
it makes sense. Like as a
Yeah.
pirate, like the whole thing behind pirates is flying a flag, so people know
Well,
you're
yeah.
a pirate. Like in terms of like old pirate ship lore.
Right.
you
if
need-
you fly the skull
Yeah.
and bones, it's a sign to approaching or vessels that you're approaching
Yeah.
that you mean business.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like Star Wars needed a way to do that wasn't a flag. So
Yeah.
it's like
Imagine if
painting
they just
underneath
hoisted
is
a
really-
flag.
yeah.
It was like, and then
Just in space.
it's just in space. I mean, to be honest, they got almost all the way up to that point because the hats that they wear, the pirate
Oh,
hats, are full on
they
just
are
regular ass pirate
love it.
hats. You know,
Love it.
and that started, I guess, all the way back with Hondo.
Yeah,
so.
Hondo's kind of always had just a
But
pirate
like,
hat.
there's a telescope and a compass.
Yeah.
Just a regular ass wooden compass.
Yeah, how does
for
that
some
work on
reason.
different planet or in
It,
space?
it wouldn't.
Yeah, it's a space
It wouldn't.
compass.
It can't.
Space compass?
I mean, right, we don't see. Maybe
It's
there's
like a
some
tech.
inner workings that we don't
Yeah.
see in there
It's a
that we
tech
don't know about.
compass. It doesn't use
But
gravity.
also, but like the
Whatever
telescope though, like what are you gonna do? Well, how's that gonna? So
Well,
you can
it's
see
like-
ships
What do
approaching
they call
from.
them? Quad knocks in,
Yeah.
in Star
Yeah,
Wars.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like quad knocks. but
It's a
just one.
monoknock.
Monoknock, yeah.
Claimsies on that.
Yeah,
We
monoknock.
we dib claimsies. By the way, that claimsies joke is
Is-
I thought was well executed.
It's good. It's very
The way that the
good.
kid said, "You can't unclaimsies without the claimer
Yeah.
around." Everyone on the whole
Planet.
planet knows that.
I love it.
Is so funny. That's great. Anyway, so let's get into the actual. Unless you have any thoughts on this opening crawl.
No, I was just curious. I had to go back and watch it because I was like, oh, does it say like when in the timeline? But it doesn't. So that
I mean,
was
it
my
does.
only.
Since the fall of the
Well,
Empire, the New Republic has maintained order.
yeah, but how
that
long?
That sets a it's sometime between the fall of the Empire.
That's 30 years. That's a long time.
Yeah.
I want more specific. Just like it.
Okay. Anyway, the biggest threat to the Empire or the New Republic right now, not the New Order, according to this opening crawl, it's piracy.
Pirates, yeah.
All this very again in vain, similar to not in vain. Thinking of the pirate name, similar to a la, as we've talked about already, bunch of the like golden age of piracy stuff.
Yeah.
When people think of pirates, they think of the golden age of piracy. That is Blackbeard
Yeah.
and Long John Silver and Calico Jack and all them.
Mhm.
And there's a million stories about them. The romanticism around pirates comes from that, and they are tapping into that around this. So we get this idea, and this is, I think, it's fun to imagine the New Republic being kind of like the English, French, and Spanish empires of that age, who were expansionary, but most of the New World was discovered at this point, and it was a matter of kind of maintaining order, trying to establish trade routes, etc. Kind of like what the New Republic is dealing with
Right.
as they kind of add new member worlds, etc.
Mhm.
So as they expand outwards, it's harder for them to maintain control, and that's where pirates step in to try to kind of fill the gap and take advantage. So we kind of get a similar dynamic at a kind of a macro scale.
Right.
So we get into this prologue. We start with action. I think this is important that this show started off with a bang, and I think it does. So the show starts coming off of the opening crawl with a really starry-filled starfield. I think there's another high bar for the starfields in Star Wars here. We see a planet in the distance, and then some debris floats in as a ship is revealed. Its hull is covered by shadow, and then we see boarding tubes crash through the side. Really cool. Again, they're really trying to play off of the pirate stuff.
Yeah.
So this is like when a pirate ship would come up next to another ship, and then they would like put their planks
down,
over and then board the ship.
Yeah.
Right? So this is them boarding. We've seen different cool ways of boarding ships in Star Wars.
That's a wild way
including
to do it,
the one with that ship that was like a boarding
Oh,
ship
it is
that
like
like pierced through.
Yeah, but like having something that just like basically rips a hole in the side of a ship with a tube, and then you can run in is like very neat because it also just destroys that ship too. It's like
yeah,
very
but if you're trying to steal the ship, not helpful.
no, but if you're
Yeah.
just trying to like take what's on it, then and you don't care because you're a pirate. It's I don't know. I thought that looked really good too. Like the second that happened, I was like, "Whoa, that looked really good."
Yeah,
That-
I think it did. More space combat would be just in generally. This isn't really space combat, but it's like adjacent. So, just more of it would be appreciated. We've got a lot of dogfights, but usually on planets, and that's not as interesting to
as
me.
in space, yeah.
It just looks cooler in space.
Yeah.
Remember in Andor when he does that like 360 with the laser beams from the side of a ship and cuts the TIE fighter in half?
Yes.
So cool. Okay, so the crew there's a lot of A New Hope references here, so they get lined up like the crew of the Tantive 4 does in A New Hope, and prepares to be boarded. In that movie, it's Vader and his 501st, but in this, it's pirates. And we get an action sequence, and there's lots of killing. So we get some really bombastic music and the first bits of the pirate theme that we get from Michael Giacchino's son, who I didn't reference by name, but I should reference him by name, Mick Giacchino. Because everyone who has lots of money loves to name their kids after themselves, but he didn't want to go full Michael, so Mick is close enough.
His name probably is Michael, but he just goes by Mick.
Because he doesn't want to just be like, well, Michael Giacchino the second.
Yeah.
Because he has a name that would work for that, I guess. But anyway, Mick Giacchino doing good work here with a kind of bombastic pirate theme. I love the people in the spacesuits blowing up the turbo laser turret.
I thought that was cool too.
This is like the swinging over on the rope.
I thought that was neat too because the way they like shot the cords, I was like, it's like when you swing over. As a pirate.
Yeah, right.
So cool.
And blows it up. And I just think we just don't see enough people in spacesuits.
No, never. It's so cool.
Yeah.
I was like, I loved it.
And they're like classic spacesuits, like just the bubble head,
the bubble head
which
ones,
is good. Yeah. So there is the Ishi-Tib shot in the eye. Doesn't really care. We get Brutus, the werewolf, makes his like werewolf alien. Makes his big debut. Looks really cool. Moves really scarily, angrily. Shoots a bunch of people. Has a really cool voice. And then declares the ship as captured for the captain. So the pirates take the ship. They want access to the vault. The captain of the freighter says that we are protected by New Republic decree, and then calls them pirate scum, which
probably
that's
not.
never a good idea.
No. Also, like pirates don't care about decrees.
No, and
They
anyway,
don't give a shit.
no. Anyway, he's thrown out the airlock for his trouble.
Yeah.
And I think we hear him scream, "Ah!"
I mean,
which I think is really funny
Wilhelm
to
scream?
include.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was full
No?
Wilhelm scream, but I'm pretty sure he's like, anyway, take him to the airlock. He's thrown out the airlock, and I think we hear him scream. Anyway, it seems like, and we don't have full details here, but it seems like this crew is restless for a big score.
Yeah.
They haven't cashed in recently, and this captain is worried about who's wearing a mask, and we're pretty sure is Jude Law. Yeah. Like, if you had to put money down, I would like.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious, both from the voice, his body shape, just everything about it. Just screams that that's Jude Law in a mask.
Yeah.
Cool mask.
Very cool.
Very what's the call from G.I. Joe? There's that. Who's the bad guy with the shiny mask?
I never watched G.I. Joe. I'm sorry.
Okay, it'll come to me.
Google
It's a stupid name anyway, and it should be easy for me to remember. But anyway, so Jude Law in a mask is worried about mutiny. They open the vault and they find it empty. By the way, I love another episode 4 reference is when the guy is like, we're this is just a bulk freighter, and he's like, well, then why is your vault magnetically
Right.
sealed? Which is very Vader. It's like we're just on a diplomatic mission,
Yeah.
right?
Is it this guy you're talking about?
Yes.
It's a
Cobra Commander.
Cobra Commander. I was
Yeah,
like, doesn't
I was
really
gonna say
have
a dumb
any-
name.
Yeah.
He's got this shiny little helmet.
Yeah, I see. What you're saying.
Yeah, he's got. So the pirate captain, by the way, Silvo,
Silvo.
good pirate
That's a
name.
good name.
Long John Silvo.
Yeah.
Anyway, they open the vault. The werewolf. What's his name again? Brutus. Walks in. He's got sharp claws.
I would assume.
He picks up a single coin from the floor.
Yeah.
A single credit. We get hit a great line. Good men's lives lost for a single measly credit. And do you think this is a setup?
I would assume, because I don't understand why there would just be like one Republic credit on the floor as like a
Nothing else.
FU in there, right? But
Right.
Also, this is really stupid.
Maybe they dumped their cargo.
Yeah, it could have been. This is a really stupid notion. But as someone who has had very long fake nails before, there's no way.
His ability to pick up that coin.
No way.
that was CG'd. They CG'd the coin because that gloved hand wouldn't been able to pick it up with his sharp claws.
You can't
Winston,
pick up coins
Winston, can
with
you pick
nails
up a
that
coin?
long. No, you just scrape at the
Poor guy,
floor.
he's sleeping. Oh no, there he is. Hi,
Yeah.
Winnie.
Yeah,
There he is.
right in the background.
That's funny. You're a good boy. Yeah. Okay. So that is another mini mystery. Maybe we'll get to
Yeah,
it.
and
But it
also-
does seem like this was a setup.
I mean, that poor captain, maybe he didn't know. But I would just be like,
I
yeah,
think-
open it. Go open the vault. There's nothing in
What
there.
if-
But,
Brutus struck a deal with this
well,
captain so he could overthrow
could be.
Silvo.
Or maybe Silvo did it ahead of time.
He already robbed
He
them.
was just going to be like, oh, I don't know. But yeah, at the same time, could have been a mutiny of.
Or they
sorts.
dumped their cargo. We know that,
Yeah.
even I get boarded sometimes.
Yeah. Dump all your cargo into space.
Jabba. Even I get boarded sometimes. Anyway, cut to title card. After there is a mutiny.
Yeah. So it's
mutant-
mutiny then.
It's mutiny then,
Yeah.
which is a great pirate line.
Yeah. A lot of times they say treason too. Like, so it's treason then, right? Who is
Yeah.
that? What is that from?
Yeah.
I don't know what it's from now.
Isn't that from episode 3? Is that from Revenge of the Sith?
Is it? Yeah, can't remember. It's
Hold on,
like
we
so
can
it's
find that.
treason then. Yeah.
So it's treason then.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's Palpatine. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's treason then.
Okay.
It's,
yeah.
It's
That's what I
Palpatine
thought.
when they come to arrest him.
Ah, yes, yeah.
And then he does the
Yeah, screech. Yeah.
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 Oh, Palpy. I love him. So funny.
Come on, Jude Law. Apparently you're force sensitive. You could have Palpatine screeched them all.
Well, I mean, I think.
Maybe he's probably hiding it from.
Do you think he has a lightsaber?
No, I was just joking that he could have just like force.
Push
Crush
them all
them
into
all, I don't know.
push them right into the
Yeah,
vault,
shut
close it.
Yeah. That's too easy though.
Then what was he gonna do? Because as a pirate, you have to live by a code.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't work because he'd have to answer to the rest of the pirates,
I
and
guess
no one
so.
would trust him. I mean, he would never have a crew.
Yeah. He probably.
And then you
doesn't
would
tell
truly have a skeleton crew.
Yeah.
By the way, we didn't talk about what skeleton crew means. If you don't know, skeleton crew is just reference to a really small number of people who try to operate a large ship.
Right.
That
It's
it's
like bare bones.
the minimum
Yeah.
amount of people you could have to operate a vessel of a certain
Yeah.
size.
Makes sense.
Right? Because like most of the time, you need a crew of many people to operate a pirate ship. If you had a fraction of that, that would be a skeleton crew.
Mhm.
And it's just a piratey
Yeah.
phrase, so
fun.
that's probably why it's called that. Okay, so we cut to title card. Simple, clean logo design. Big fan of the. It's actually quite similar to our small screen Star Wars
It
logo.
is. Yeah.
Which is a ripoff of the Empire
Yeah.
Strikes Back logo, so it is what it is. Okay, we cut to at Atten, and we meet Wim, our lead male boy character. playing with his action figures, very relatable. A lot of relatable things happen here over the next couple minutes. His dad is uptight about work. Oh, we can all relate,
I know.
right?
Latchkey kid.
What does that mean?
A latchkey kid?
I don't know what that means.
You're never a latchkey
I've never heard
kid?
that before.
Okay. So latchkey kids, there was more of a thing in like the 80s, 90s, where your parents would just give you like a key to the house and you would get home before them after school. It's being called a latchkey kid because your parents weren't home from work yet.
Okay. So you were like, you have to like raise yourself for.
I mean, yeah, like you're just home by yourself. Usually, like in the morning, you just wake up, you get yourself ready for school, you go to school, and then you come home. Like I was a latchkey kid because I just like I had older brothers too. But
We went to.
yeah, but you just come home, you make yourself a snack, you watch some cartoons till your parents get home.
There was a community center behind the house, behind the school.
Okay.
So we'd walk to this community center, and it would be me and like 30 other kids, and we would hang out in this community center until our parents picked us up from there.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess that's like an after-school program. We didn't have that in my small town.
I don't know if it was like something that my parents paid for or not. I feel like we
sometimes
could
those
come
things
and go as we
free.
wanted.
Sometimes those things are free. It's like a drop-in center or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, there was a Super Nintendo. We played that.
Well, that's fun.
There have been like 15 kids sitting around playing Super Nintendo. Like 2 people would be playing, and then everyone else would be watching.
Yeah.
Sometimes there'd be only one person playing, which is also crazy. Anyway, and then you have to ask to trade out the game.
Yeah.
There was a gym, and there was a canteen, which had 1-cent candy.
Oh.
So for $1, you could get a bag of penny candies, and fuck, what a deal!
That is a deal.
It was
Penny candies are like non-existent.
First of all, don't exist
No.
anymore.
I remember they were
because
5 cents. Like when I was a kid, it was 5-cent candies.
Well, these were like the little, like when you get
I
the
see, like teeny,
Maynards
teeny.
in a bag
Yeah.
for Halloween. These little, and then like you have the little teeny versions of the peach, or the little teeny
Like fuzzy
versions of the
peaches and
fuzzy peach.
cherry blasters.
Of the cherry blasters and stuff. These were that size.
Ah, okay.
And they would
that's
come in this, like, you'd buy them at Costco, I guess,
Yeah.
these boxes. And then you'd open the top and fold it into like a little display. And then they would take a little, which I realized now was a shot glass, which I didn't know at the time, but it was a shot glass. Or like a jigger, it was like a measure, like calibrated one. And then would scoop, I guess, I don't know, they had some sort of system for what would equate to 100. And then they would give you this little paper bag full of candies, and it would go so far. It would last me 2 days.
Yeah, that's so cute.
And only for a single loony,
yeah.
which,
It's a good
was
deal for
worth
a
more
kid.
back then, but also still not very much
for everyone
money.
listening, a loony is a Canadian dollar.
Yeah, everyone knows that.
Don't.
Everyone knows that. And then you have
think
$2.
our money's
It's a
goofy.
toonie.
Yeah.
It has a polar bear on it
Yeah.
because the $1 only has a loon, hence the name.
A loon is a bird.
Yeah, everyone knows that too.
They don't. We don't know where
People
you're
know.
listening
Okay,
from.
well, people know what loons are. Loons, majestic beasts. They mate for life. They are very territorial. They have a beautiful song that you
They have
hear
creepy
in.
red eyes,
Well, I mean, lots of animals have creepy red eyes when you shine a light in
but
it.
they have a very specific cool. They have a really cool call. That's true.
Yeah, which appears in a million movies, even
Yeah.
in places where they could never be.
Yeah.
Anyway, if
That
you
was a
hear,
rant about loons.
yeah, look, so this has become a nature podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, so we meet Wim. He's playing with action figures. He's a latchkey kid. His dad is uptight about work. He has a supervisor review.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And is giving Wim crap about leaving toys around the house.
Yeah.
He leaves, and I thought this was fun. Just like drops a stack of cash on the counter. Leaves him at a handful of credits for lunch money.
That's also a latchkey kid thing.
Like you have to manage your money.
Yeah.
It's like a way to teach him to manage. Yep, this is if you spend it all today, you won't be able to eat lunch the rest of the week.
Yeah.
But then I was imagining this while I was watching the show. I was like, then their teacher's like, your kid has no money for lunch, and then he's giving shit to the dad. He's like, he had money, he spent it. And he's
Yeah.
like, I'm trying to teach him a lesson. Yes, but he still has to eat lunch. So it's like, well, how am I supposed to teach him a lesson if I still have to keep paying him for lunch if he's not gonna,
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a whole thing, which I didn't really have to deal with. We didn't have paid lunches at my school. We had to bring our lunches. And then, can you believe this? This was crazy. They would supervise our lunches, and if there was too much candy in our lunch, they would take it.
Well, that was never a thing in my.
They
when I
would be
went
like,
to
"You have
school.
that's too many desserts. We're taking one."
Oh, that's weird. When I went to
The
school, they
the
never
meanest,
did.
angriest lunch lady.
And
I
was this in
hated
like
her.
elementary school?
Yes.
That's weird. As far as I know, I mean, I usually went home for lunch. Most kids, like a lot of kids, did.
Well,
But
la-di-da.
I could walk home.
Well, like I said, la di da. I was not within walking distance.
Okay. Well, I lived in a small town again, but no, like people didn't. I know that's the thing now, though. Like they will check lunches and whatever.
But like for what? Too much? There's too much sugar in this.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
There's certain things like, oh, I mean, my kid's, he's a baby, he's in daycare, but like there's certain things I'm not allowed to send him.
If I had
like-
extra candy, I could trade that for other stuff, but now I can't trade it for anything.
Just currency. That's why.
Yeah, you didn't trade
Did you
stuff.
also go play
you didn't,
dice on the
You didn't trade
playground?
candy for other
No, I
stuff.
didn't, like I said, I didn't stay for lunch until I was in like
So
junior
you, so-
high.
So you didn't have.
And then
friends
all
for
I ate
old
was
school.
beef jerky and cup of noodles. Because there was a little canteen in our junior high.
Yeah, our junior high was also our high school, and
Yeah.
so for 6 years we had the same shitty canteen,
Mm.
and the grossest French fries. But they did serve slush puppies, which you could ask for extra shocker, which is the
Sour stuff. I know
the
what
sour
it
stuff.
is.
Yeah, well, I think other people might not. So
I
anyway,
know.
you get extra shockers. You get extra sour version. That was or all shocker. That
I
was
used to work in
crazy.
a canteen at a hockey rink. I made those for kids all the time.
Yes, it's so sick.
It's like, I
Okay.
want 10 pumps of it. I'm like, you're
So
an
this is
idiot.
the life that these kids are living.
Yeah.
By the way, these are
Good
just
life.
standard, regular ass, middle
That's what
class.
I mean, it's kind of relatable. You're like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah, I mean, super
That's cute.
relatable.
It's fun.
Anyway, so on his way to school, Wim comes across an alien kid, Neil. Same species as Max Rebo.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's unclear.
How's that unclear?
I mean,
He's a
because
purple or is
he's a blue elephant.
I have a sticker of Max Rebo on my phone. It's the same.
Okay, so same species as Max Rebo. We don't know
100%
what's.
the same.
Do we know what that species is called? I don't know if we do.
I don't know.
Anyway, this is a really fun little sequence where they pretend to have a lightsaber duel, and he's like, "You should not have come here,"
So
which is
cute.
also an episode 4 reference, by the way.
He's an ortolan.
An ortolan. Cool. Anyway,
From Orto.
that's Neil,
Yeah.
which is spelled with 2 E's just to not make it too normal.
Too normal, yeah.
Yeah. Neil and Wim have a little lightsaber duel, and but only Wim has an actual like pretend lightsaber.
Yeah.
Neil has to just pretend he has a lightsaber, which is a little sad. That's a
Yeah.
little bit like rich kid, poor kid situation.
Oh, yeah.
Although Neil, much stronger family life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Compared, not a single child, first of all, and his parents lost.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I have beef with this other kid's dad. Huge beef.
With Wim's
I have
dad.
major
He has a
beef with
name,
Wim's
by the
dad.
way, in this show.
Yeah.
Wendell.
Yeah, I have mad beef with Wendell for something he does in this episode.
In this episode, when he dismisses him later in the.
When Wim, it makes me want to cry. When Wim asks him to read him a story, like his mom
Aren't you a little
used
old for
to,
that?
and he
Right.
says no, and he's like, aren't you like too? I was like,
He like scoffs.
you are a horrible, mean dad. Like, obviously, this kid wants a story because his mom's probably dead, and his dead
So-
mom used to read him stories, and you're not going to read him a story because you're too
At
busy.
what point does a parent become too old to read?
Adam and I talked about this after we watched
Yeah.
that scene 'cause we were both like, that guy sucks. And Adam was like, I would never tell why they wouldn't read him
So,
a story.
like-
he's like, maybe if he was like 13, like when he's a teenager.
I guess maybe they'd figure it out on their own. You have to just assume the kid will be like, "I'm too old for that now."
Yeah.
But
and
like,
they
what if they
will.
never get that point? And then it's like, and then they're
But
like,
there's no kid, like no kid's gonna be.
Arrested Development.
I mean, yeah, but you're not gonna have like a 15-year-old kid be like, read me a story. Like it's just like obviously this kid wants that for a specific reason because he's misses his mom and he's sad or whatever. It's not because he can't read. He just like wants that moment with his dad.
Winston making appearance on
Yeah.
the show. Hi,
You can tell him getting
Winston.
heated. And I was like, if a kid
Yeah.
wants you to read them a story, I would read
It's
them a
actually
story.
true. He gets really worked up when people get worked up. He wants to help. He
He's
wants
a
to
good
make sure
boy.
everyone's okay.
Yeah.
He's a very
See,
good
if you
dog.
were watching us live right now, you could see a very
You would be
cute
able to
dog.
see his very cute
Yeah.
face appear. Okay. So anyway, they're interrupted in their lightsaber. We have to move through
Yeah,
this a little bit
sorry.
faster. And the school bus arrives, and it's being driven by the RX-24 droid, as we mentioned before, who's being pestered by the kids who are sticking gum to the back of his head. Hilarious.
So good.
It runs. It's like the bus driver from Simpsons.
Yeah.
Anyway, Otto.
Otto, yeah.
Well, not quite like that,
Yeah.
because Otto's pretty
Otto's
cool. to be
yeah.
honest. Otto is getting blotto.
Yeah.
Anyway, Neil is chatting about school stuff because that's the stuff he cares about,
Yeah.
studying and stuff. He's
the
a
smart
nerd.
one.
Yeah, and Wim is reading a book. It's like so I didn't do any of the like translating of the Arabic or
I
anything here.
saw who did? Somebody did Star Wars Theory? No.
Not that asshole.
No.
Just kidding.
Who was it?
Hey, I know that I saw them talking about it in the Screen Crush stuff.
Yeah, my name is Screen Crush, actually.
friend of the show, Ryan Airy, of course. But
Star Wars Explained
okay,
was the person who.
it's essentially like a fairy tale book about Jedi.
Mhm.
Is
Yeah,
it basically
there's a bunch of
starts
different
with
stories.
yeah. And so it's a fairy tale book about different Jedi adventures. What specifically might come into play later, if that's the case, we'll talk about it then. But for now, all you need to know is that his head is in the clouds. And anyway, out of the corner of his eye, Wim spots two girls on a speeder bike race off into the woods, and he's like, "Did you see that?" Which is cool. Anyway,
they're like lightsaber dueling, and then the bus comes. Those other girls like, "What are you guys doing?"
yeah, I know
Like,
that's funny.
It's such
It's-
typical
yeah.
like
Nothing.
kid
Yeah.
boy behavior. It's very cute. Yeah.
Anyway, so they arrive at school. We get a good look at the city as they travel through the city before then. Again, I said very CGI heavy here. All the cars or vehicles travel on like tracks, which is a kind of a fun idea. And they're greeted by droids. In fact, droids are their teachers also. So they're in class. Win is doodling in class. He's drawing he's etch-a-sketching a Jedi. And then we meet Undersecretary Farah, who we found out later is Fern's mom. And she's visiting the school under false pretenses, ultimately. She's using her influence to try to keep her kid at the head of class.
Right.
But to do that, she has to show that she's there for other reasons. So she's there and she talks to the class about their contribution to the quote-unquote great work.
Right.
So this is where stuff starts feeling very culty.
Yeah, it feels a little weird here.
Yeah.
It's like an aptitude
and
test. These kids are what, like 9?
yeah, whoa, it's not just them. This is their career assessment, which means how they pass this is what determines what they do for the rest of their life.
Wild.
It's super crazy.
Yeah. It's like Futurama where they get a chip. And it's just like, that's your career chip. That's what your job is forever.
Yeah, that guy's like, oh, no fair. I wanted to be an analyst.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they're being given this big speech about their career assessment test, which is tomorrow, which, of course, our Wim with his head in the clouds didn't realize, and he gets all freaked out. So Wim, obviously, again, I said, is concerned about the assessment being tomorrow. I really thought Neil's so funny. I can't believe you said you wanted to be a Jedi in your career assessment. He's like, I didn't. He's like, yeah, you essentially did, though. You said it all but didn't say it, right? He's like, yeah, I guess I did. So anyway, he's like, I also thought, again, the writing, I think, is really top-notch because he's like, what do you think everyone's been studying for? He's like, I don't know. Aren't we always just studying all the time? We also find out that Neil has a crush on the little green alien in the class.
When he's looking at her in the class.
By the way,
so
I think the combination of practical and virtual effects on Neil,
very good.
He looks like when he does that thing later in episode 2, is like, joke's on you, I don't talk through my
Yeah,
snout
I don't
or
talk through my snout. Yeah.
yeah. My trunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like just the way his face moves,
very
like
good.
everything about it is like very, I think.
Yeah. Sometimes it bugs me the way
lifelike.
the aliens' mouths, if they do a lot of talking, the way they move.
Yeah, because sometimes it just looks like a suit, and then just their
Yeah.
mouths are flapping like Muppets.
Yeah.
But
This actually looks good.
sometimes Muppets look more believable.
Yeah.
Like lifelike.
Yeah.
In like their like movements and the things the way they speak. But anyway, he's gonna go home and study. There's this whole conversation about how don't you ever want to do anything exciting? You know, classic call to action.
Yeah.
In a show movie like this, like what? And then we cut to a mini action sequence where the girls that he saw earlier are racing through the city on their speeder bikes. Their bike ultimately dies though, so they need to find a replacement power converter. Another episode 4 reference because he just wants to go to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters. That's at his most whiniest. Yeah.
We'll get some power converters.
Okay. You're gonna save the galaxy? All right, kid.
Yeah.
Come on. Fun little action sequence though. Again, very CG heavy. On the way home, we get a glimpse of Neil's family life. Again, lots of love.
Very
There's
sweet.
twin babies,
yeah.
brothers, etc. Wim gets home to an empty house. Womp womp. Back with the girls, we meet them kind of now for real instead of just like tangentially. We have Fern, the rebellious one, and I think all these character archetypes are very like standard
Yeah.
human, planet Earth,
Yeah.
suburban archetypes. Oh, you have this overbearing mom,
Yeah.
and then this teenage girl who's rebelling against that. You have this single child with a single dad who's
working too much,
much, and he just wants to get his dad's attention and
Well,
approval.
it's like he's kind of the fuck up one.
right, and
yeah.
you have the kid who has a
Normal-
pretty great life, and it's like they shouldn't really fuck up with this kid's
yeah,
life
he
because
gets
he's got a
dragged
pretty
along,
great life.
but he's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the sidekick to the rebellious girl,
The smart tech girl.
the one who has the what's it called? What are those called? Cybernetic implants?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, for lack of a better term.
Weird that that's on a kid, but
Yeah, super weird,
odd,
right? That
but-
you would put that on someone's
okay.
kid. But again, overbearing parents,
Yeah,
right?
true.
You have like obviously Fern's mom is a super big deal, so it's not a big surprise that KB's mom would also be
Yeah,
a big
that's
deal,
true.
and then want to make sure they're doing really well, putting them into like I don't know, youth orchestra or
Yeah.
something as a
youth orchestra.
yeah.
All the advanced programs.
Yeah, exactly. They're not allowed to have any fun. They just have to be studying all the time. Yeah. Anyway, so we meet them. They get heckled by like a classic bully, which I thought this whole sequence was like very like just because it's so cliche, I thought worked as being so funny. Where it's like, oh yeah. You guys can't even race. Your bike doesn't even work. It's like, yes, it does. Okay, well then we'll see you Saturday if your parents let you.
Yeah.
It's like later losers, right? Like real what's his name from Back to the Future energy?
Butch? Is his name Butch?
No.
No, that's from Home Alone. Can't
Yeah,
remember.
wait, him. Yeah, speak like a tree and leave. You sound like a goddamn idiot when you get it wrong. Anyway, so that's kind of like the very first intro we get to them. Anyway, they need to get a new power converter. Fern returns home and overrides the droid's memory, their maid droid, to cover for her being away. This is where we get the first like hint that she's like good at manipulating droids, I guess.
Yeah.
Her mom, who's the undersecretary we met earlier, reveals that she was actually at the school to get her daughter back to top of the class. And then she says the craziest line, quote, "I worry because there isn't room for everybody at the top.
Yeah.
Go fuck
That's
yourself, lady.
wild.
We all hate
Yeah.
you. You're the worst."
Yeah.
And then
No
she's like,
pressure.
I'm just so proud of you. Yeah, proud of what? You
Yeah.
manipulating the school to put me in first? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Wild.
Rich people suck. Like
Yeah.
just I'm sorry if you're rich and you're offended by that. It's not my fault that you suck. Okay. Instead,
Join our
instead,
Patreon.
yeah, join our Patreon. You can afford it. $5 a month. Actually, we didn't even plug the Patreon. Now that I think about it. We're doing frequency this month.
For the movie
Actually, it's
club.
last month for the movie club. That's exclusive to patrons on Patreon, patreon.com/TowerBiblecast. Jeremy and I will be doing frequency at 2000s. From the year 2000, a time travel movie. I've never seen it
fun.
before. Okay. Little commercial break. Where were we? Oh, bedtime stories, as we talked about. So Wim is studying is studying because he has this big test tomorrow. He asked for a bedtime story, but his dad is too busy. Bedtime stories, aren't you getting a little old for that? Instead of sleeping, he decides to stay up and read his Jedi stories, looking out the window, dreaming of adventure. Very Luke, staring up at the dual suns. We see the sky for the first time. It's covered in like this weird haze and has like red dots all over it.
Yeah.
They can't see the stars. This is the barrier that they talk about later.
Okay, that makes
Are you
sense.
sick because you have a child?
No, I have allergies.
Oh,
I don't know.
winter allergies?
I know. I have allergies all year round, actually. But
That sounds miserable.
yeah. I'm allergic. No mold.
You're definitely the Neil of this
Oh
group.
yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
But I mean, also I have a sick baby all the time, so.
Well, I think just having babies means you're sick all the time.
Mm-hmm. Terrible immune system.
Well, it's not their fault. They just bring it home with
Yeah.
them. Okay, cut to next morning, and Wim misses the bus.
Of course.
He overslept because he was reading his stupid books. Anyway, he yells to Neil that he's going to take a shortcut. I like this. He's like, "What?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a shortcut."
Yeah.
Anyway, he grabs his speeder bike. It's kind of crazy that so the speeder bikes in this are like a
hover bike.
stand-in. They're like a stand-in for a bicycle.
Yeah.
Like what you see in E.T., etc.
Yeah.
Including, and by the way, Neil's even has like a little front basket on.
Yeah. Because it looks
And-
like they don't work like very high off the ground.
No.
Like you have to be very close to the ground.
It's so funny because Fern jumps over that thing
Yeah.
on her bike, and he's like gets up to it, then lifts it over.
Yeah.
It's good. Good juxtaposition there. Anyway, he grabs a speeder bike which has tassels on the handlebars, which is
So cute.
so funny. And anyway, he goes through the woods the same way that he saw the girls go the other day. He thinks it's a shortcut. It's not.
No.
Anyway, back at the school, Neil tries to buy time for Wim at the assessment, which, by the way, they're doing it in the gym. It's very,
Yeah.
again, relatable. That's where all our big exams were held, in the gym. But anyway, he's not very good at buying time.
Yeah.
Because the droids sit down.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, meanwhile, Wim racing through the woods, losing his helmet on a branch. He races up to a gorge, but is not able to stop in time and falls right in. And by the way, the way he falls, also very funny.
Yeah.
There's a lot of humor in this, like slapstick style humor.
Yeah.
Anyway, he tries to climb out in hilariously bad fashion. Like, I've never seen someone climb so poorly. And reveals that there's something under the dirt. He clears the mud away and reveals that something, but before we can find out what that is, one of those truancy droids turns up and takes him back to the school. How?
Yeah. He's like, "I'm just stuck
How
in
do
a
I get
pit."
out? How do I get out of this hole? Anyway, while waiting to see the proctor, which I guess is the principal, he meets Fern, who's like, "What are you in for?"
Mhm.
Which is classic line.
Yeah.
She's like, "Yeah, I race speeder bikes. The droids hate me."
Yeah. Right.
She's pretty cool. Like, to be honest, in terms of like a kid her age,
Yeah.
she's way cooler than
Oh,
him.
yeah.
Like, not even
Of
close,
course,
right?
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, I saw your bike. So wizard."
Yeah. he's trying so hard to be.
Yeah, it's so funny.
so
It's
sweet.
so
It's
cute.
So wizard. It is so
So she tells him about how the last kid who missed. She's
Oh,
like really
yeah.
good at like spinning these little stories.
Yeah.
I knew people like that when I was that age, who could make up a good story, and if you had a gullible person that would like
Actually-
really fall for it.
Side note: our friend Brittany, because she substitutes sometimes for like little kids.
Oh, does she make
voices.
up stories like
no,
this?
but she sent me a snap the other day, and it was something about a kid in 3rd grade trying to tell all the other kids that they had dementia. And
See,
Brittany's like,
that's so
she's like,
funny.
As soon as I heard someone saying they had dementia, I knew it was this kid because they're always making up wild lies. Like they're always
Yeah.
a little kid.
And like the lady's like, "Oh, you're so gullible." Yeah, because you're a liar.
Yeah.
Fucking good line.
Yeah.
Anyway, Wim's dad appears. He got called in from work to speak to the principal, and he's pissed. Anyway, the proctor allowed him to retake the test, but with a 50-point penalty. This is
Wild.
crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Hey, this most important test of your life will let you retake it, but you have to get every single
Yeah.
answer right to pass.
Even though you fell in a gorge and like
Yeah,
you,
it's like he's like, "What happened to you? Why are you so dirty?" He didn't even listen to him
Yeah.
try to explain what happened. To be fair, Wim jumped straight to the Jedi Temple thing.
He's like, "I found a
Start
Jedi
with the
temple
fact that you fell in a gorge.
Yeah.
Start with that
You
first.
crashed your bike into a ravine.
He's like, "Hey, you know that movie Lion King?
Yeah.
You know where
The king gets
you know where the
trampled?
king gets trampled? That's where I was."
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Anyways, he didn't do that, and his dad does not have any patience for him. And I'm sure the lesson here will be, "Oh, I shouldn't be so hard on my kid
Mm.
at the end." But
Yeah.
for now, he's a real jerk. And not listening to his son try to explain that there's a Jedi temple that they found in the woods,
Mhm.
and I wouldn't believe him either
No,
if he
no.
told me that. And anyway, he's been given this raw deal
Mhm.
where he gets to rewrite the test, but he has to get every single answer right. You know, I've only ever done one exam in my entire life where I got every answer right.
Oh yeah, it's not easy to do.
I got 110% on that exam.
Well then.
Because there was a bonus question. I also got that right. And that was for Econ 101.
Oh.
I got Econ 101. Turns out pretty easy, straightforward math. But
terrible. At
and
math.
like you just, and as long as you, and yeah, but like this is like simple addition, subtraction, multiplication, division stuff, and just like a couple key concepts about how economies work,
Right.
and then you're off and running.
Fair enough.
Anyway, 100%, 110% on that. Not bragging, but
Low key brag.
pretty cool. So pretty wizard, if I do say so myself. I gotta start weaving that in more naturally. Anyway, Fern overhears the whole thing about the Jedi Temple. But Wim's like, no, I was lying,
Yeah,
and
he
then
just,
walks
like,
away and
shuffles
I
away,
go.
staring at her.
Yeah, it's so
So
funny.
obvious.
There's nothing funnier than saying, no, I was lying.
Yeah.
the funniest lie is to say that you're lying.
Yeah.
It's so good. Anyway, we see more of Neil's family life. He has two twin younger siblings watching a Hollow of Clowns, which is actually a reference to the holiday special, the Star Wars holiday special, because there's a Hollow of Clowns in that.
Yeah.
The Wookiees are
okay.
watching.
I thought it was very cute what they were like watching, but
Yeah.
yeah.
It's children's television, which
Yeah.
is weird stuff, but
Yeah.
yeah.
It's cute.
Anyway, Wim wishes Neil crashes Neil's bath, which is
Yeah.
funny, through the skylight. And then they're gonna go find the Jedi Temple. And this is where we get the line from the episode. This could be a real adventure. No more praying pretend. They walk their bikes through the woods. They establish their call signs, Jedi 1 and Jedi 2. And they get to the gorge and use an extension cable as a rope. And this is such a good slapstick moment also,
Yeah.
because he's like, okay, ready? And the rope is still like tied in a knot,
Yeah.
basically. And he's like, goes to like rappel down and then just go both
Clunk,
flying.
clunk. They're both
It's
in there,
so
yeah.
good. It's really funny. Also, like, learning how not big the gorge is was also a pretty funny
Yeah,
moment,
yeah.
where it's like, yeah, it's not like
Not that deep.
most normal, regular-sized people would not have a
No.
problem getting in or out
No.
of that. You might have to like scramble up a little bit,
Yeah.
but the
You'll be
kids,
alright.
it's too much.
Yeah.
And they can easily fall down and not really hurt themselves in any serious way. Okay. So they're interrupted as they begin their process of digging this thing out. They're interrupted by a scary droid voice, but it turns out it's just Fern and KB playing a prank on them. I guess KB's allowed to. She can change her voice using her
Yeah,
implants.
I guess so, yeah.
Which maybe will come in hand later.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a few moments in the show that are like, remember this, you're gonna need that. You're gonna need
Probably,
that
yeah.
later. Yeah. Anyway, so you can't call unclaimsies without the claimer. The whole planet knows that. This whole thing about how he found it, but she called claimsies.
Yeah.
And anyway,
Very
it's
cute.
just dibs.
Yeah.
And I love Neil. It's like, oh, they call claimsies. It checks
Yeah.
out.
I also love like later he's like, well, they didn't call claimsies on the inside, just
Right.
the
And
outside.
he's like, oh,
So as soon as we get
genius.
in there, I'm gonna call claimsies on the inside. It's like such a funny like kid the way
Yeah.
of thinking of things.
Genius. Those girls are so stupid.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Like,
those boys
are
are so
Just watching
stupid.
them dig.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, we can't. We're just girls.
Little reverse psychology.
we can't take it up
situation.
anymore.
Oh, we can.
Yeah.
Oh man, so good. So, Fern tells them this whole story about how the door covers an underground tunnel that got filled with gas and killed a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Anyway, she was pranking them again. Also, like hilarious. Fern. I find out who the actor who plays Fern is, because I think she's pretty good.
Yeah, she's very good.
Fern. Ryan Kiera Armstrong.
Yeah. Huh.
That's definitely a name that a millennial would give their daughter. Anyway, they agree to help each other through some reverse psychology to dig it out, as long as they can all go inside and see and look around. So back at home, Wynn's dad arrives to find the house empty and goes out looking for him. Back at the dig, the boys claim to claim claimsies on the inside. The girls are scheming on their own with a goal of finding that replacement power converter. That's what the only reason they're there. We get some fun kids banter. As we talked about, I think the writing and the chemistry here, delivery, it's all very
Yeah,
top notch for kids.
it's really good.
Way better performances. No offense to those kids
The Acolyte.
from the Acolyte, but these are way better performances. I'm just
Yeah.
it's not fair to critique children's performances, but these are better.
Yeah, they're great so far.
Yeah. It's like they're the leads of the story. Like
Yeah,
they need to
be.
be.
Yeah. Mhm.
Anyway, they find that the metal thing that they were looking for is actually a door, and KB uses her cybernetic implants to open the door. Before they go in, they hear someone coming to find them, and it turns out it's Wim's dad. And he gets like heckled for that too. Is that your dad? He's like, no. Anyway, the girls give him a hard time about that. But he just wants to prove to his dad he was right about the temple. Right, again, it's not about, he doesn't care about getting in trouble. He just wants to prove that he's not useless. Anyway, they find a skeleton. I found a skeleton. We cut to, it's just a droid, which is really funny, especially because they find an actual skeleton later.
Yeah, multiple.
Anyway, so which is pulling up like a lever, and then while they're arguing about not pulling the lever, Neil accidentally pulls it.
Yeah.
Classic move by a Neil.
Sidekick.
Yeah. Which locks them inside the ship. And this is where I think the show, like, this is the moment that the show, like, grabs my attention.
Okay. This, like, starts
And it's like starts picking up,
Yeah.
and I think it doesn't really stop
Yeah.
until the end of the second episode. So KB, the smart one, thinks that they should find the power source for the door by following the conduit. Wim is excited about all this. He's like, "Isn't this great?"
Yeah.
And all the rest of them are like, "No, we're strapped in here." And he's just like, "I just love adventuring.
Yeah.
Can't you guys just get on board with the fact that we're on a real adventure? Come on." And then he's talking about how, did you know that some Jedi temples can lower themselves down in times of danger? Which is, of course, a reference to Rebels.
Yeah, the Lothal Temple.
The Lothal Temple, which does lower itself down.
That's one of the stories in like the book he was reading there too.
Oh, yeah, too.
Yeah,
Cool.
So yeah.
Wim and Fern disagree about which direction to go. Classic.
Mhm.
So he goes off on his own, and while they continue to look for the power down below. We get a little mini jump scare as we see him. He sees himself in the mirror, and this is after Wim had told him to grow up.
Right.
And he's like, "Grow up, you grow up," talking to
Talking to
night.
himself, yeah, or whatever.
A little sad because ultimately typically the way these things play out is characters like this are forced to grow up
yeah.
because their life is threatened and
Right.
they're traumatized
Yeah.
by, we're on this fun whimsical adventure. But if it happened to a real child, their life would be ruined, basically.
Yeah.
So that be prepared for Wim to be less whimsical,
Yeah.
which maybe is why he's named that.
Yeah.
At the end of this series, it's fine because he'll grow up to be some sort of scoundrel of some kind, and then
Yeah.
he'll probably date the girl, and they'll
Date the girl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like they'll grow, like we'll get Skeleton Crew season 2, and they'll be teenagers.
Yeah.
And they're already kind of teenagers, but they'll be older teenagers,
Yeah.
and then there'll be some sexual tension, and he'll have his own ship, or she'll have her own ship. She's got a real Dr. Aphra
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
like vibe to her, and like just her whole like snarkiness
Yeah.
comes off that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my prediction for the future. Unless one of these kids dies, which
I don't think they're
definitely
I
not
don't think
happening.
that's gonna happen.
As I think they make it, you don't kill kids.
Yeah.
The kids never die,
Yeah.
right?
They
Okay.
get taken and captured, but not.
Yes, a lot,
Yeah.
right? Because even adults who are scary and mean have a hard time killing kids often. Yeah. Anyway, the girls find the power source and wake it up from hibernation while Neil is stuck in the vent, which is hilarious. When it wakes up, the lights come on in the cockpit, which is where Wim is, and we get this really cool panning shot of all the lights turning on. Big. The music is kind of very magical of this moment for Wim as he's kind of like uncovering this like mystery for the first time. He's like, "Oh, it's not a temple, it's a ship."
Yeah.
Because as he says, he's like, "It's not a Jedi temple, it's even better."
Yeah. Better.
And then just again their insistence, don't touch anything.
Yeah.
And then there's this blinking
Blinking
green
button.
light. He's like, I gotta touch that. Like, but again, he's just rebelling against himself
Yeah.
because he's like, "Oh, grow up, whatever. I'll do what I want,"
Yeah.
including touching this thing they said not
Just
to touch.
full impulse, no impulse control. Like, I'm touching it.
Yeah, and there's a storyline later where he gets super upset because everyone's mad at him for this all being his fault.
Right.
But it's not really all his fault.
No.
It's not entirely not, though.
Yeah.
Like, it is partially, certainly only his fault, but it's not only his fault, if you know what I mean. Like, yes, he touches the green button. They don't know that. He lies to them all. But, they weren't the one. He wasn't the one that turned the power
No,
on.
exactly.
And he wasn't the one who pulled the lever. And yes, he found the ship, but he didn't. He's not the. It's the fact that they're lost isn't really his fault.
No, of course not.
Right. So, but I mean, he does play a strong
Yeah,
role.
it does push the
Yeah.
button, but yeah.
Anyway, so really like the moment where the lights all light up and everything.
I like how you realize the ship is upside down too, because when the chairs
Oh,
come out of the
yeah,
ceiling, and you're like, oh, it's
yes.
upside down. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the whole thing is cool,
Yeah.
and like the way that the headset like drops
Yeah.
down, and yeah, it's badass. Um. Anyway, he proceeds to touch the red button. An alarm blares as they all try to run for the hatch. We see that the droid from earlier is powering up. They reach the door just in time to see that the ship is starting to take off. Upside down, I guess.
Yeah.
The ship continues to rise as they climb out of the hull. Wim's dad is there
Mhm.
and sees them taking off. Because otherwise, it's like he would have just been completely in the dark.
Oh
what the
yeah,
hell
you
happened to
need
them.
like you need someone to know that
To
they're
know that they're lost.
lost,
Yeah,
yeah.
because there's going to be this subplot this whole
Yeah.
time where he
Is-
is having to deal with the bureaucracy of
he's gonna have to deal with
Ad-Aden.
that girl's mom. Like yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And she's gonna blame him, saying that
You're a
your
kid,
dog,
yeah.
your kid kidnapped my kid
100%.
on this thing, even though that's definitely not
Yeah.
what happened. Winston's having a
Stupid
stretch.
stuff.
Anyway, oh, you want to? We're almost out at the end of this episode, Winston.
Yeah.
I'll let you out after that. We'll take a quick break after that. Okay. Anyway, the ship starts to roll. The kids get back inside the hull and grab Wim before he can fall. They pull him back in. The doors close. The ship takes off. Back inside the ship, Neil's concerned that they're going through the barrier. We don't know what that is, but we
Right.
assume it's that like hazy blue thing that protects the planet. They start flipping switches and pressing buttons to try to turn off the autopilot, which is funny. Just look for anything that says auto.
Yeah.
But everything kind of calms down as they emerge into space, and they see stars for the first time. This is one of two references to the Matrix,
Oh,
which is
okay.
surprising.
Yeah.
In the Matrix Revolution, I think. One of the characters sees the sun for the first time
okay, because they've been like
in a very similar way.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I was like, what are those? I think they're planets. And he's like, they're stars. I didn't think there'd be so many.
Yeah.
That's cute kid line stuff and adventure, and we feel excited for them. But then the ship jumps to hyperspace almost immediately, and we cut to credits. And leaving them, it's like, oh, they're gone.
Yeah.
We stay in the starfield. We don't join them on the as they jump to hyperspace. Pretty cool. That's the end of episode 1. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we are back. We're going to talk about season 1, episode 2, way, way out past the barrier. This is a Neil line. The first one was a Wim line. The logline here is a surprising first stop marks the beginning of an unexpected journey. Unexpected is certainly, fair.
Yeah.
I love that they go to a pirate
Ugh.
haven in the first.
I
It's
don't
so
think we've
fun.
ever seen this necessarily, like a pirate port. or
No.
whatever, which is cool. Like
Yeah.
it's like we get it. Like Tatooine's kind of like a shady, bad guy hold, but like
Right.
this is cool because it's all pirates. It's in space. It's a cool spaceport.
You've never seen a hive. What is it? Scum and villainy. How's it go? You've never seen such a hive of scum and villainy.
scum and villainy.
I don't know. Yeah.
something
Anyway,
like
it's
that,
like
but
that. This is a hive of scum and
Yeah,
scum and
it's
villainy.
very good, and it's
Yeah.
very reminiscent of like pirate ports that we've seen in other films. And
Oh,
things,
yeah,
so it's-
100%.
It's cool.
This is definitely the Bahamas. What's it called? Nassau. Nassau was like a
Nassau. Okay.
famous pirate haven
Okay.
back in the day.
Less sex workers in this one, though.
There's still sex workers though.
I feel like there are.
There's not zero
I
sex
know. I
workers.
think that one alien that talks to them is definitely
100% a sex worker. Yeah,
At least
either a
a
stripper,
dancer.
potentially a whore.
Yeah, don't say that word.
Why?
It's not correct. Maybe it is in Star Wars language, but
I mean, I don't think I've ever used the W word in Star Wars before. Yeah, hooker.
you
Is that
can't
better?
say that either.
Okay.
It's sex worker.
Okay. Well, yeah. Anyway,
We're PC over here.
yeah. See, actually, that character doesn't have a name, but the species does. They reference it in one of the Star Wars .com news pieces. Where the heck is she? Fern, two best friends, race for hoverbikes after yada yada. It's in the second episode. It's basically when she's talking about they need a better story than Ad-Atten. Well, Wim's dad, Wendell, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A Thielen.
Oh, Thielen. Okay.
A Thielen.
Well-meaning
A well-meaning
Thielen.
Thielen.
Yeah.
who we
She's
don't-
just trying to help. But yeah.
A Thielen with a good feeling.
I just feel like anytime you see these pirate ports, there's always like women sitting on their laps and they're drinking. And
Sorry, did
they're-
you not hear what I said?
What?
I said she's a Thielen with a good feeling
God.
about these kids.
I didn't hear it. Sometimes your terrible jokes just.
Well,
I hear them so
that's why I had
often.
it. I feel like that one was good enough that it
Thielen
needed to
with
be
a
repeated. Okay.
Uh.
We start in hyperspace. Oh, sorry, I should mention. Directed by David Lowery for this one. And David Lowery, by the way, who does have a history. You should recognize some of his work. By the way, director of one of my or producer of The Green Knight, one of my favorite holiday movies.
Oh, I don't think I've
Because
ever seen it.
it's a Camelot story,
Oh.
but it's very pretty the way it's shot.
Okay.
It's a little slow, one might say, but I have the 4K Blu-ray and it's I love it. Anyway, he's directed not a ton of stuff actually. Now that I look at it, 32 things. Now I'm looking at the upcoming. An Almost Christmas Story, Peter Pan and Wendy, Oakthorn, Old Rose. He was also directed The Green Knight, not just producer of it. Great movie. I'm trying to think. A Ghost Story, Pete's Dragon, My Daily Routine, Pioneer, a bunch of stuff. But again, for me, it's really the Green Knight situation, and I'm here for it. Okay. So David Lowery, director, written by writers Christopher Ford and John Watts. We start in hyperspace, picking up exactly where we left off in the last episode, with the kids freaking out, basically.
Yeah.
They tried to turn it off, but in doing so, they get lurched from hyperspace into who knows
so
where.
dangerous.
Yeah. You could fly. What is it? You could fly to a sun.
Into a sun, into an asteroid
Yeah.
field, into a
Right.
planet. Like
Yeah. They're lucky that they just ended up in open
Yeah.
space. They hear a noise, and the dead droid from the first episode appears, looking for its captain and threatening the little gremlins. He calls them
Yeah.
little gremlins.
So cute.
And yeah, again, played by Nick Frost, and just such a character. Very fun. Again, I feel like really raises the level of energy
Yeah.
from his
Very good.
appearance. Fern manages to get to the droid, put the droid into a logic loop, essentially. again, using her like manipulation skills by telling the droid that its captain is gone / dead while they figure out a plan. But mostly that plan just involves blaming Wim.
Yeah, of course.
Which, again, these are kids, so they're going to do stuff that's like non-productive. So they blame Wim. He gets more and more upset. It eventually boils over later. Fern then goes back to her using her droid reasoning skills, convinces the droid, SM-33, Smee, that she killed the captain and therefore must be the new captain.
I'm the captain now.
And I love this, she's like, I killed the captain. He's like, most unlikely. You seem ill-favored to combat.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's convinces him that he's the new captain. And then he's like, oh, no fair. Wim's like, I wanted to be the captain.
Yeah. Like it's playing a game.
Yeah, and he's like, as a crew, you can challenge the captain with a battle to the death. Like, oh no, that's fine. We're fine.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. He's kind of like 3PO with his like piratey knowledge. If 3PO was just pirate knowledge, that's what we
like
got
protocol
here.
droid. Yeah, exactly. But
a little bit more violent.
Pirate protocol droid
with a peg leg.
Yeah, with just a hint of assassin droid.
Yeah. Anyway, they ask for help on how to fly the ship, and we get that little fun sequence of you get all the thrusters, including the tertiary thrusters, which is fun. And anyway, they discover that this button, the hull demolition sequencer, which is another thing I think will come back later, sounds like just self-destruct.
Yeah,
really
interesting. But I guess for a pirate ship,
got to have a self-destruct.
You might
button.
need it.
Yeah, and which should never be touched.
Yeah.
It's like, I wish you hadn't said that.
Yeah.
They also ask if the droid can fly the ship, and it suggests that they find a spaceport to repair critical systems. Fern doesn't want a spaceport, though. She just wants to go home. She's a softie at heart. She doesn't really show that a lot.
Oh,
but
we're gonna see it.
Yeah, but she's a softie.
Yeah.
And even KB is like, you shouldn't have been so mean to them.
Yeah.
Earlier, and he's like, Anyway, so they just want the droid to turn the ship around and take them back to where they came. They asked to go to At-Aten, and he's like, oh, I can't remember there being any At-Aten. It seems like that was something that was erased from his memory.
Right.
Classic droid stuff.
Yeah.
Similar to the whole can't read this very specific text from episode 9.
Can't read this Sith text. I'm not allowed.
Not allowed.
Yeah.
Anyway, despite searching its databanks, while a rat jumps out of its eye socket. By the way, that rat has a name also.
The rat has a name, or the species has a name?
No, the rat, Snowball.
What?
Unfortunately, soon all 4 kids are tossed into the brig along with Snowball, the tiny creature that makes its home inside SM-33's circuit.
That's so funny.
Yeah, Snowball.
Love it.
Anyway, yeah, it's weird that like sometimes Star Wars does this, where it includes details about the characters and things that are not in the show.
Aren't in the show yet. Yeah.
You're like, okay, all right. I guess that thing is that rat, which they just call it a rat.
Yeah.
Is even though it's not a rat, it's called Snowball. So anyway, Snowball, he's like, that rat ate its brains. And anyway, it's funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. The whole thing is
Such a
funny.
kid thing to say.
Yeah. It's funny even if it wasn't if it's meant to be a joke or even if it's not, it's still funny. Anyway, it suggests a couple of alternative planets that sound like that.
Yeah.
So it suggests Adelon. Adelon is the planet from Rebels where those spider things hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah, gross.
Yeah, like he just gives them a big list of like going down the list of A's. Yeah.
Alcor, which is made up for this. This is a new one, name referenced. And then Aldani, which of course we know from Andor, which is where they pull off that heist. But he calls it a sulfurous bog world.
Yeah.
Which I like that. But maybe that means that the Empire ruined it in some way.
Yeah.
Who knows? And he says, "Tell me then, Captain, which one is At-Aten?" And then points out into space, where there's just a bunch of stars. And that's where we get the lost. Like we're lost, like way lost.
Yeah.
You said we weren't getting in any trouble, but now we're so lost that we're gonna be lost forever.
Yeah, you think like the ship would have like a nav. But maybe
but again, I think this is a ship that crashed into a planet or is hidden on a planet that's supposed to be covered in riches. But probably the riches is a society that's not self-destructive.
Yeah.
That's the riches. That's the twist is there's no riches here, but we do have a really great bureaucracy.
Yeah. Good
Um,
functioning society.
And maybe the people who originally were on the ship just joined the society.
yeah.
And then and that like maybe Wim's great grandfather or something was the captain of that ship. Who knows? There's lots of
But it's a
possibilities.
pirate ship. We know it's a pirate ship.
Yes, but maybe
Yeah.
these pirates found that
I
there was
see.
no actual treasure
Oh,
there,
I see.
and then just stayed.
Gotcha. Could
It's like
be.
making it to Treasure Island, being like, that's a really nice spot for like a resort or something we could build.
Like, what is it? What's that underwater one?
Avatar?
No.
Avatar: The Way of Water is what you're thinking of? No.
Where they find the underwater city.
Atlantis?
Like that, where they find Atlantis. And he's like, oh, I just want to like chill here with these like cool, sexy aliens.
Yeah, right. Or that Gungan city
Yeah.
that is underwater. Misa's so happy to see you.
Oh my god.
I can't do the boss Nass like.
Boss Nass. Probably not with
the-
headphones on. Yeah.
Okay.
Probably
So-
for the best.
Yeah. Well, it's just slightly racist. But it wasn't me first. They were racist first. Okay. Anyway, they're lost, super lost. So Fern asked them to go to the spaceport that he originally mentioned, the droid originally mentioned. So they jumped to hyperspace. This is where we have this one brief moment back at Atten. Safety droids are looking for the source of the seismic disturbance, and so find Wim's dad. He reports that what happened. Oh, there's a ship. They took the ship. They're off in space. They're past the barrier. We learn a few new tidbits of information about the mystery. One being that the starships aren't allowed to come or go.
Right. Yeah.
So this is like a locked down society planet. Two, that breaching the barrier is considered a serious violation. So maybe that it's not that they're just not allowed to come and go, that you're literally not allowed
to leave, which is wild.
Right.
So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, so that's like a very, and like, I mean, if it's a good spot, sure, but
maybe you don't want to
you're
leave.
curious
But like, what if
why.
I want to?
Yeah, I guess.
No, not
right.
allowed,
So
not
it's
allowed.
like you're just straight up trapped there for whatever reason, and like, and then is anything you're doing there really matter in the grand scheme of things? Like they make these jobs seem super important for the kids.
Yeah,
and
like what are
it's
the analysts analyzing?
Yeah, right. So
I mean, here's the thing that we never really touch on much in Star Wars, probably for good reason. Yeah, whatever. Because you got to explain stuff away. We want to deal with a galaxy full of exciting things.
Right.
But planets are big with lots of stuff to do
Yeah.
and lots of things to explore.
Right.
You could theoretically settle on a planet and never have to leave ever again.
yeah, oh yeah,
In fact,
easy.
that's humans have never had to leave the planet.
No, and we're fine, and we do.
And we've been fine
stupid
for
mundane jobs
thousands
here.
and
Yeah.
thousands and thousands
Yeah.
of years.
It's true.
So like, in theory, it's not that maybe it's just like Earth. They can't leave because they don't know how.
Yeah, fair enough.
Which is probably not true. Anyway, but they have like advanced technology.
Yes, yeah.
So
There's obviously a reason why they don't want people coming or going. Though.
what's interesting is that we find out later. And I'll just add
Yeah.
this because this, like, in terms of like the mystery, the coins that he has, the credits he has, are not New Republic
No.
coins. They're Old Republic.
Right, and they said that
And
they're
the Old Republic, not like the old Republic, but like the Republic that we knew from the prequels.
yeah, like prequels Republic, yeah.
Unless they are talking about the
No,
old
that doesn't
Republic, which I don't think so.
'Cause
Even then, that's still a long time ago.
Because
now.
what did they say about them too? That they're like pristine, like they're in very good condition.
Right. At that point, those coins would be like that's like 100-year-old coin.
Yeah,
Or whatever.
And he's using what seems like very expensive versions of them
right.
for like
Well,
lunch
it'd be
money.
like, hey, I have this $2 bill.
Yeah.
Which is like super rare and worth a lot of money. But hey, I notice you've got that $2 item on the counter. I'll just take that for this $2 bill.
Yeah.
And be like, sure,
Yeah, like, give me
good
that.
trade,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean? Like that's basically what's going on here. Or I have this 50-cent coin,
Mhm.
right? It's worth way more than 50 cents, but
Yeah.
legal tender, I mean, you never know, right? But the thing is, it's like, okay, if they have Old Republic stuff, that's like I mean, I guess in theory, everything they have could have been around in the Old Republic, like in the prequel era.
Yeah.
There's nothing that they have that couldn't exist back then.
Yeah.
And Star Wars technology is kind of hard to parse in terms of like how it progresses or doesn't progress. So who knows?
Right.
We shall see. I just think it's interesting. Like they have a lot of technology, they seem really established, but maybe they've been in hiding ever since before the Republic fell, and that's why they want it.
Yeah, like I feel like in terms of this At-Atten world, I feel like it's not necessarily
Never touched by the Empire. That's my guess.
yeah that but it's not necessarily like riches, like it's not money. it's rich in something else, and that's
right,
why.
knowledge.
Yeah, well, either knowledge or like there's something else about
Something
it.
intangible.
I would assume that it's not
Right.
just like, oh, they have all this
Right.
old money. It's like, no, it's
Or
got to be
maybe it's
something
like
more
maybe
than
it's like
that.
there's a strong force presence there.
Yeah,
or
it's got to be something
Yeah.
else. Yeah, more. I don't know, but yeah,
Less money.
yeah, but
Yeah.
they have
less
this
money,
money
more
for
something
whatever
else.
reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I specifically like when he hands it.
Do you think they have the ability to print their own credits? Because it's like in a society, it's like there's
Maybe.
just no inflation.
Yeah.
Everything.
Well, I mean,
forever.
yeah, if you're giving your kid a pile of gold credits that are obviously worth a lot,
Right.
and for lunch,
But maybe to them, not for. It's obviously not worth a lot
That's
to
what I
them.
mean,
So
like
maybe there
what
has been a lot
they're-
of inflation, but does that mean they're printing
I don't know.
more old Republic credits?
it's like what they're trading their money for, or it's like not really
Yeah, and
used
like,
the same. Obviously,
do they not have any need for trade-off world? Probably
yeah,
not.
like
I
that kid
guess.
had no idea like what they were each.
But they
worth.
know what a starship is, but they know what hyperspace lanes and stuff
yeah,
like that are.
they just don't know like currency, like what their currency is really worth. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's different.
They
on
were
their
talking. By the way, they
planet.
do talk about currency in their school class.
Okay,
There's a whole. There's
I
a,
heard
you
the,
over
the
here. They're
guard
talking about
jargon,
fungibility,
Yeah.
fungibility of a currency. Which, by the way, I think no one until Bitcoin came around
Right.
did anyone think about the term fungibility,
Fungibility, yeah.
unless you were an economist.
Still did not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I couldn't tell you exactly how to describe what fungibility means.
Is that like its ability to work in multiple places, or like how?
So a
how
Bitcoin is
accepted it
is non-fungible.
Non-fungible. So
Oh no, I
it's
guess that's NFTs, right?
non-fungible
Sorry,
token.
non-fungible token.
Doesn't that
which
mean not
mean
tangible?
no.
Oh, okay.
Listen, okay, we can look up what non-fungibility means.
I don't know anything about
Non-fungible.
anything.
It's just a good word, though. I will say it does fit
I
into
have
the
some
Star Wars world.
Bitcoin, but
Non-fungible means something that is unique and can't be replaced.
okay.
So a dollar is not fungible,
No, because it can be
or it is fungible because it is
not unique.
It is not unique.
Yeah, that's why the NFT. Yeah, the NFTs because there's one. And
Right.
it's-
And that's why.
Yeah.
Okay, so bitcoins are also non-fungible because they have unique identifying codes. And stuff.
Right, and they are mined, and there's a specific amount of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay. Right. We see
Anyways.
learning, everyone.
It's a learning podcast.
The more you know. Okay. So we get the scene on the pirate ship. A quick one. Neil goes searching the ship for Wim, who's all butthurt about being blamed for all this stuff,
Right.
and finds an actual skeleton this time. Two of
Yeah.
them.
He's pumped, which is
And he's
wild.
like, I think they died in a duel. He's so excited about
That's
it.
crazy. For good to just be like dead bodies. Sick. But I guess
Sick.
like
Okay, listen, if you saw
Skeletons.
skeletons like that
That's
that were
true.
fully skeleton and covered in
Once it's
cobwebs,
fully
yes, they would be
skeleton,
like
it's cool.
gross for sure, definitely spooky.
yeah,
but
not as gross as a dead body.
In
I
a
guess.
moment, like after that, it'd be like, and if you saw one was stabbed with a
Yeah,
sword
you're like,
through
"Oh,
the
that's kinda
chest,
cool."
that's like, okay, that's
As
pretty
a
cool.
kid, that's true. As a kid too,
Yeah.
you're like your mind
Yeah.
is a little bit.
I think they died. In
Yeah,
a
I love he's just
duel.
like rolling around in that dirty bed too. I'm like,
Yeah.
ew,
Ew,
get
you don't know
out
what's
of
been in there. He's like, it stinks in
yeah,
here. You want
like-
to sleep
like
in
dead
here?
bodies? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Wim finds the
Ugh.
captain's room, including a pirate hat and a compass and a telescope.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Don't you want to go home?" He's like, "Go home? We just got here."
He's like, I'm having fun. He's like,
Yeah. And so yeah, we have this juxtaposition between Neil,
Yes.
who's very much
his
like,
home life.
"I like my family. I
Yeah.
like my home life.
I
I
miss my
don't. I
siblings."
didn't agree to this. Yes, I like
Yeah.
to pretend to adventure, but real adventures are scary and
Yeah.
dangerous." And
I like to pretend on the way to school, and then go
yeah.
home and see my parents.
Yeah, and then they feed me delicious dinner,
I have a
and I get
bath.
to hang out, and I have a I have a bubble bath
Yeah.
while my baby brothers watch.
To
Cartoons.
Yeah, like very
Right?
cute,
It's like that sounds like a
wholesome.
very wholesome life.
Yeah.
As we said before, this might ruin his life. This might traumatize him
Yeah.
to the point where, he will never be the same again.
Yeah.
But maybe for the best.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Neil's just not into it. This is a classic dynamic in these types of stories. And Wim is very into it. He's like, why can't you guys get excited about adventuring with me?
Mhm.
Anyway, we reach the starport, Port Borgo. They arrive, and we see all sorts of pirate ships, including the big one from the prologue with like the tower section, and kind of looks like a shark fin or something.
Yeah.
And anyway, they're watched by big, large guns as they enter, and we get this great line from Shmi. Port Borgo. They say of Port Borgo, you will rest well in a soft bed or a shallow grave.
Yeah.
Which I just like, yeah, he's like, you might as well said yar
Yeah.
after that. And it's like, I love it. It just, like, it's so silly, but in like a fun pirate mystery way.
Yeah.
Anyway, they park and a little ferry ship comes to pick them up, which is manned by, quote, a wee ferryman. Monkey thing. And we get another great line from Shmi. Be sure to keep your blasters at the ready and trust no one,
Yeah.
Captain.
So good.
As
blasters,
they,
I
and
guess
like,
she does have a blaster, right?
yeah, the question is like, where did she get that? Because I don't think she got it before. She must have got
I
it
think
off
probably
the ship.
It makes
Yeah.
no sense, but
It's not really explained, but
yeah,
she does.
because
Yeah,
all of a
it's
sudden
fine.
she had a blaster, and I was like,
She has
where
a-
did that
yeah,
kid get a
yeah.
gun from?
Yeah, they should have all been armed. to be
Yeah,
honest.
I mean, yeah.
But like, not technically because they're kids, but
Yeah.
it's like they are also going to a pirate place. It's weird that they didn't ask more questions about
Yeah.
this whole situation. I love later
Where
he's
are
like
we?
you took us to a pirate port, like, yeah, because we're
Yeah,
pirates.
because-
And she's like, we're not pirates, we're kids.
Yeah.
He's like, oh.
Sorry, didn't know.
Well, it's her own fault for pretending that she was the captain.
Well, yeah, true.
And I just love that Nick Frost is doing this whole pirate accent.
Yeah, it's good. It's
He's
so
doing the
good.
whole I'm a pirate,
Yeah.
yar.
So
They say of Port Borbo.
But that is how, like, that's how Hondo talks, and like that's how those.
Is it how Hondo talks? Hondo kind of has a very high-pitched, whiny, annoying voice, in my opinion.
But he's got that pirate kind of whatever Caribbean esque, like,
Yeah, I mean, he's got a piratey,
you know,
like, jaunt to his
Yeah,
voice. Yeah, I give him that. Because, like, the rest of the pirates don't really have that here. They're not talking like... They have some piratey, like, graveliness
Yeah,
to their
yeah.
voices, but they're not, like, talking like cartoon
No,
pirates.
no.
Unlike, again, Shmi, who
Yeah.
is. Which, again, is fun to me.
Yeah, it is very fun. I love it.
I'm really, like... It's Star Wars in the fact that it looks like Star Wars, but, like, it's just purely a pirate
Yeah,
story.
it's like how we've gotten like Western ones, and now we're getting a pirate story. It's so
Yeah.
fun. I like it.
It just, I'm like, maybe they could do a little bit, like, maybe the pirates could be a little bit
Toned
not,
down
like,
a little bit. Just
they don't have to be like,
Yar.
they don't have to be cartoon pirates, but we haven't heard a yar. We haven't technically heard a yar
Yeah.
or anything like
One
that yet.
droid cartoon pirate, I'm good with.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. He is pretty
Yeah.
funny, very
He's
endearing.
allowed.
Yeah, okay. It says no pirates.
Yeah.
We're allowed one.
Yeah.
Anyway, as they land, we get a good shot of the port, which is built into this asteroid and like lots of different levels. It's very cool.
Yeah,
A
very
true
nice.
hive of scum and villainy.
Yeah.
The ferryman wants payment, so Wim gives him one of those gold credit pieces, and he goes running off. It seems very excited about this. This is the first hint that there's more to it
Yeah.
than going on. Wim, who's got a bit of a little bit of a smart kind of like scoundrel streak to him,
Yeah.
kind of like picks up on the vibe and hides the rest of his credits in his sock.
Yeah.
We get this when we get the first shot, like we actually get a close up of it, and this is you actually get to see that the Old Republic crest is on them, the 8-pointed gear.
Yeah.
Because again, it's 8 points for the Republic. Remember this?
'Kay.
6 for the Empire.
Right.
Same
Right.
logo, just 2 less points on the
Yeah.
gear.
Yeah.
And then the New Republic has the Phoenix
Yeah.
logo.
Like the yeah.
Yeah, with stars around
Mhm.
it. So anyway, they go looking for somewhere to ask for directions, and this might as well be like a National Lampoon's moment.
Yeah.
It's so fun, and we get all these different aliens. We get this great line: "Look, aliens! They're so weird looking," which is funny coming from Neil
Yeah.
because he's a weird looking blue
Yeah,
elephant.
Yeah, he's a weird looking blue alien.
And you get this great line, which is, "Can't you plug his trunk or something?"
Yeah.
Which to me screamed Dr. Aphra
Yeah.
vibes to
Mhm.
me. You know. Joke's on you. I don't speak
Yeah,
through my
drunk.
I don't speak through my trunk. Okay, so the pirate theme plays again, and we'll see all sorts of creatures doing weird stuff. We see the Ishi Tib from earlier getting its eye worked on. We see a blue alien sucking up probably some weird drug of some kind.
Mhm.
We see a whorehouse.
We see a
Um,
whorehouse.
We do
A brothel.
a brothel. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's a much more PC term.
Mhm. He said whorehouse.
Yeah. One of the workers there notices them, and as Fern gets left behind for a moment, there's again another kind of like fun slapsticky comic moment where it's
Yeah.
just like, don't remember everyone, let's stick together, and it turns around and everyone's gone.
Yeah. They're boof.
Yeah. So KB off on her own. She doesn't have a lot to do or say. Hey, KB
Yeah, she's
as a
pretty
character,
like stand back, doesn't.
she's
yeah.
very sidekicky in the fact that
Mhm.
she's like really there to like she's there to open the door,
Yeah.
have an idea of the power, get it working. She's like she's essentially the droid of
Yeah.
Valkyrie.
Well, she's tech.
Yeah.
She's
Tech.
Tech with the bad
Yeah,
badge.
we can just call her Tech from now on.
I'm sure they'll develop her character more.
I hope
going
so.
forward,
Tech
but-
finds some exotic pet things, like this pink
Oh
floating.
yeah, those were like the little wings.
It looks like
Little
I guess like maybe it's like
fluffy
maybe
dragon.
it's like a Tinkerbell reference.
Maybe, I don't know.
You know, like a fairy.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, some sales guy is selling assassination droids, which is
Wild.
funny.
Yeah.
And then anyway, they bump back into Fern. So it's the girls together and the boys together.
Mhm.
An alien woman finds them. We talked about her before, and tells them they aren't safe among the pirates, which for some reason surprises Fern. She tries to get them home, but laughs when she hears that they're from At-Atten.
Yeah. She's like, okay. What?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're from Atlantis. Cool. That'd be
Yeah.
like if a kid came up to you and said, "Where's home?"
Yeah,
Atlantis.
yeah.
Okay. Sure, buddy.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Wim and Neil tried to ask for directions at a food stall. Pardon me, at a food stall, asking first for, quote, 2 of whatever he's having,
Yeah.
which is the daily special, which looks super
Yeah.
gross.
He just like cracks like a
Bug in
crustacean
half,
bug
and like,
thing, yeah.
oh, yeah. And he's like, yep, 2 daily specials coming right
Yeah.
up, which is good. The food alien asks for payment, 2 decks, credits. I like that for credits, decks.
Yeah.
He pays with 1 of his gold credits, Wim does, which gets the food alien excited. He tries to swindle them, but a pirate sitting nearby warns them,
Yeah.
which pisses off the food guy.
Yeah.
This kind of starts a whole
Whole
ruckus.
fight. Yeah.
Yeah. The pirate asks where the kids found, quote, Old Republic credit in mint condition.
Mhm.
And then
Neil.
Neil, his dad gave it to him for lunch
Yeah,
money.
So wild.
It's like, shut. Maybe someone should plug your
Yeah.
trunk, buddy.
His dad gave it to him for lunch money.
And they're like, lunch money?
Yeah. Like, what?
I feel like these people wouldn't even understand the concept
No,
of lunch
no,
money.
they
like,
would be
it was
like,
like they're like, what is?
school
I
and
mean,
lunch
is that
money?
money you use to buy lunch only?
Yeah. Like, what are
Exclusively?
you talking about?
Isn't any money lunch money if you use it to buy
Yeah.
lunch? Any book's a kid's book if your kid can read.
Yeah.
So anyway, this gets them into hot water. They reveal to a Nikto, who again we think is probably Vane from Mando, that they're from At-Atten, and again this gets a big laugh from everybody.
Yeah.
The pirates look to see if they have more of the Old Republic credits, and in the chaos, the kids toss the food and make a break for it. Back with the girls, they're trying to get away from the nice alien lady, thinking that they're trying to kidnap them.
Right.
Anyway, she tries to give them advice about needing a, quote, better story than At-Atten. But they double down, and we learn another key bit of info, which is that At-Atten is considered by the pirates to be a lost planet of eternal treasure. Whatever that means, which is news to the girls. They're like, news to me.
Yeah.
They hear the boys yelling for help, and Fern steps in with her blaster to calm the situation down. She shoots into the sky. Love that, like, a piece of junk
Yeah.
falls from the sky.
Yeah.
I think that's like a really,
is good.
like, that's like a good little detail that if you didn't include, no one would notice,
Yeah.
but including it really, I think, adds to the whimsical nature of
Yeah,
what's
it
going
also
on.
is like that little bit of like goofy slapstick. Like,
Slapstick,
all that is
yeah.
funny. Like,
Right, like,
you
it'd been
never
funny-
see stuff
It
get
would have been
shot
funnier
fall.
if it was a person,
Yeah.
an alien dying and falling. That would have been pretty funny.
Yeah.
Because we see one of those like weird centipede aliens up in the like the rafters.
Oh.
You know, like from Solo.
Yes.
So maybe that would just it would have been
Yeah.
and-
Yeah.
that would be funny. But anyway, a piece of debris is funny.
Yeah.
Debris. Yeah. Anyway, the pirates just want the credits, which sure. Of course they
Of course
do.
you do. Yeah.
And anyway, they start arguing amongst themselves, which is a classic pirate thing to do, right? No, I saw it first. I wanted it. No, me.
Yeah.
This is usually typically very helpful for people to escape in these type of situation. Anyway, Vane steals the blaster from Fern pretty easily. And they look like they're in pretty hot water, but their first mate droid arrives to help them out.
Clunking away with his peg leg.
That's right, with his plague leg.
Yeah.
And anyway, they try to strike a deal, but Vane shoots the droid, and this then initiates his like murder protocol,
Yeah.
and he goes into a murder spree.
I love it. I love
And-
seeing a droid just like and like
Yeah,
turn on all
it's
his,
so
like,
cool,
machine
and
gun
it's like
arms.
extra
Yeah.
punches, and then like he has shields on his arms
Yeah.
so that he's like blocking blaster bolts, and then they get superheated, and then he burns the guy's face with it.
Like guy that looks like a
So
pig or a warthog.
cool.
Or something.
Yes,
it's really
yeah.
cool.
It's so cool. Anyway, so they make a break for the ship. they bump into a tattoo droid on the way.
I
And this
love
is like
that.
this is another like little bit
It was
of
so
pure
good.
just this is a comic bit.
Yeah.
Oh, it's ruined.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Whoa!" It's like it looks great to
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah. You ruined a guy's tattoo. And
Yeah.
like, a tattoo droid is so funny. He's all those markings all over him.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing.
Because it's funny because the droid says, "Oh, you ruined
Yeah.
it," and then he's like, "Oh, I didn't mean to say
Yeah.
that" to the guy I was giving a tattoo to,
Yeah.
which is that's good. That's again important. We talked about this in our bonus episode from a few weeks
Yeah.
ago, but Star Wars is really fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
If it like when it wants to be, and it can really be funny.
And I feel like this is like a perfect.
This is
like,
very much
medium.
Empire Strikes Back
Yeah,
level of
it's like
comedy,
goofy,
slapstick.
And because there's kids involved, you can have more of that slapstick stuff without people being like pissed off about it. Where it's like,
Oh no,
it
people
can
will still be
I
pissed
mean,
off about it.
sure.
I'm not going over to check
No.
on Twitter, but I'm sure people are angry.
Oh,
about
I'm
it.
sure, but it's like I don't know. In the space right now,
I'm gonna
seems
choose to
good.
live in a much happier world
Same.
over on Blue Sky.
Same. Like it's bluer skies
Yeah,
over on Blue
You're
Sky.
right. yeah. What a brilliant
Yeah.
naming
Yeah.
convention. Anyway, they make a break for the ship. Fern gets upset at Shmi for taking them to a pirate port in the first place.
Right.
But before they can get away, the droid is deactivated by Brutus, who shoots them from behind. Brutus seems to be in charge now and doesn't understand how there are kids even here
Yeah.
at all.
And he calls it his spaceport too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he must be the new pirate king.
Yeah. Pirate King. Yeah, I guess so.
Or king of Port Borgo.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Anyway, he seems scary enough that he could like
Oh yeah.
be
yeah.
in charge. I'd believe
Yeah.
him.
I believe him.
Anyway, the kids get thrown in the brig.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you get to hear this quick, like, what's a brig?
Yeah. From the brig.
Yeah.
And that they call it a brig is always.
Yeah, I
funny.
mean,
they
sure.
call it that in Star Wars, I guess.
I think
too.
they've called it that before.
Yeah.
A brig is just a prison on a ship.
Yeah. But they're not on a ship, so
Yeah, but then if you're a pirate, then every prison
every
is a brig.
brig is a brig. Yeah.
It's a real bean lagoon situation. Anyway, I like how they're complaining about. Oh, I thought space would be like I thought adventures would be way more fun than this. And he's like, yes, this dirt is way dirtier than I thought.
Dirt. That comment was so goofy.
Yeah.
This dirt is way dirtier.
I thought the Rockies would be way rockier than this. That John Denver is full of shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, they try to figure out a step-by-step plan to get home. Step one. This is essentially the underpants gnomes from South Park.
Okay.
Step one, steal the underpants. Step two, step three, profit.
Yeah.
Step one, get out of the brig.
Yeah.
Sure. They try to get the rat, by the way,
Right, to go
Snowball,
get the
to get the
key.
key, and then it almost works, and then it just runs away. He'll be back.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's going back to just live in the eyeball.
Yeah, go find the eyeball that
Yeah.
he likes to live in. Yeah.
Step two, find Shmi, fix him up, and get him back to the ship.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, makes sense. Step three, get directions home.
Yeah.
Okay. Step four, presumably go home.
Yeah.
You need to act on those directions.
Yeah. I love how he's like, that's step two? Like, all those things, find me, fix him up, get him back to the ship. All in one step.
That's one step.
Yeah.
It's a complex, multifactorial situation. Yeah. Anyway, they note that no one. There's this whole thing about it how no one believes at Atten, and it's like they
Right.
think it's some big. It's got some treasure on it or something. Oh, that's silly. Why would anyone believe that? Yeah, that's dumb. Who would believe that? Anyway, Wim wants to buy his way out of there. He's like, well, I got these credits. They want them. Why don't we just buy our way out?
Yeah.
And then they got arguing again. He's like, at least it's a plan. Very Han Solo
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
A voice comes in from the darkness. A hooded figure emerges from the back of the brig, telling them that he'll help them, but in exchange, he has to take them with him.
Yeah.
He says, I've been stuck on this scabby rock for too long. Scabby rock, very
Yeah.
piratey.
It is very piratey.
The distance between us and the key is an illusion. How are we going to get the key? It's so far away.
Yeah.
This is the second of the Matrix references.
Ah, okay.
Because in the Matrix, of course, there is no spoon.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So the distance between the key and us is an illusion. Sounds very Jedi-y,
Yeah.
right? So in theory, I mean, we can theorize a bit here. Jude Law, Jod, not as good as Jord.
Jord.
Jord is a much
Whose
better
name
name.
is
Jod.
Beef?
Dominic Burgess.
Yeah, but who does he play? Well, I guess they don't.
He
say.
plays a guy named Beef. I
Beef?
bet you he's that guy. I bet you he's that alien who says that the food guy's scamming.
Oh, maybe.
That's my
yeah.
guess. Yeah, there's a bunch of funny ones in here. There's Pax
Yeah.
and Beef.
Yeah. What?
This one is just Ishi Tib. Doesn't have a
Tib, yeah.
name. Chilt. Jedi. Okay, so here's the thing. Haley Webb. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't recognize her in this. Don't clock seeing this actress,
Yeah.
Haley Webb, in this episode. Credited as Jedi Nina Nawood.
Norwood. Interesting.
So is she in the background watching as a Jedi?
Maybe, but then why would they credit her? She's
And what kind of Jedi? Like from Luke's school?
That's not
or
the
like-
mom, is it?
Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't. Haley Webb
Huh.
plays a Jedi Nina Nawood, but we don't see Gunter. There's also Jaleel
Gunter,
White plays
yeah.
Gunter. But anyway,
I'm sure a lot of those are like the background like aliens and stuff. But
yeah. But who's this background Jedi?
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, so Jod obviously has Force abilities.
Mhm.
Seemingly, he has the Jediism that phrase
Right.
we've turned, which is the distance is an illusion. But is he a Jedi? What's your theory here?
I don't know if he's a Jedi, or that's the thing. This is why I want to know.
I mean, most Jedi wouldn't be pirates, right?
True. This is why I want to know about the timeline, because to me it's helpful to know how old he was when shit was happening.
Okay, so if he's 50, then he could have been a Padawan during the
Right. Then during the like Clone Wars, like during.
Well,
Or
I guess if you rewind, well, because this is obviously not the end of the New Republic era, so let's assume we're halfway through, 15 years.
Yeah.
So 15, you'd add another. How long was the Empire
I
around?
don't
Another
know.
30-ish.
Yeah.
Not even?
Another 20.
Okay, so yeah, he could have been a Padawan.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe. Yeah, I guess that's possible. That's kind of what I want to know. Or is this a little further in? Like, is he much older than Luke Skywalker? Is he?
I mean, I don't think Luke is not anywhere near 50.
No, I know he's not.
At this
I know
age.
he's
So
not.
he's probably like Luke at this point is probably in his like
30s, that's what I was
late
thinking.
30s or early 40s.
That's what I was thinking. So I'm like,
And
okay,
so
but-
he's older than Luke, which means that he's seemingly classically trained, right?
yeah.
As opposed to those, what do they call them in Ahsoka? The something Jedi, the Boken Jedi.
Boken. Yeah, but I mean, he
You
also
know.
could be dark side.
He also could be, he also could
Uh,
be a Sith acolyte.
So I guess we shall see. But what I want to know is why didn't he snake that key earlier? Why did?
He was waiting for the right opportunity.
I see. So he couldn't just like bust out because he didn't have a ship and he probably didn't.
Where's he gonna
where's
go?
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
So now these kids have come, they've
Alright.
delivered him a ship. He's gonna try to screw him over.
Oh yeah.
yeah, but it's not gonna work
He's gonna
because
start.
the droid's gonna help
yeah,
them.
He's gonna start
and then
liking
he's gonna,
the kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be like, oh yeah, this is why I was a Jedi in the
Yeah.
first place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so he steals the key using the Force. We hear a little bit of the Force theme. Always nice to hear. Didn't have to wait too long. And then we get the last line after Wynn was like, "You're a Jedi," and he goes, "Shh."
Yeah.
And can you keep a secret? Which is a great closing line for an episode
Yeah.
from Jude Law / Jod. And cut to credits, and we get a jaunty pirate tune that plays over the
Yeah.
credits in episode 2, and that's it for the season premiere.
Yeah.
Pretty great stuff.
I liked
to be
it. Yeah,
honest.
I thought it was so fun. Just, I don't know. No notes. No notes.
Just like Lucasfilm had for Tony Gilroy.
yeah.
no
I
notes.
I just think it's really fun, and it's
I guess the question is, how long can it go without overstaying its welcome in terms of the vibe or the nature of the story? I feel like it can sustain it for a while yet.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be a lot
Um,
of like find and chase and capture that kind of stuff, right? That's when it comes to pirates and whatnot. But yeah,
So we'll see. I mean, I think there's lots. There's an interesting, as we mentioned earlier at the very top of this episode, interesting mystery is established.
yeah.
Solid characters.
Mhm.
These episodes were decent length. I bet you most of the episodes are going to be like 35
Probably
minutes.
a bit shorter than these. First ones,
And
but-
which is a little disappointing. It it doesn't behoove them.
Yeah.
I think generally, these Star Wars creators could learn a thing or two from Andor,
Mhm.
but neither here nor there. Any final thoughts?
I don't know. Yeah, not really. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm excited. I really like this so far.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's good.
And it's good to be back in the studio. It's good to be back talking Star Wars.
It
So
just feels very positive and light. This
yeah, it's because we're not on Twitter.
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
This one didn't have a lot of hate beforehand,
that joy you're
but
feeling,
yeah, it's
you know,
like,
that isn't that
weight
weird?
lifted off.
Yeah.
It feels good.
I feel like I
Feels
could
good.
float away into the blue sky.
skies. Yeah.
Like a butterfly, the logo.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, follow us on Blue Sky. At towerbabble.ca.
Yes.
And Facebook as well. If you want to follow us on X, that's fine. I'm just gonna placeholder that for now.
Yeah.
It's not gonna go anywhere, but I don't plan on engaging too much on that platform with those angry people. Again, we record live on Twitch and YouTube. I request that you go and follow us there, so that you can stay up to date with the latest from us when we go live. It's fun to chat in the chat room. And if you like the show, you want to help support us, you want to help keep the literal lights on, go to patreon.com/TowerBabblecast, and for your money, for your troubles, for your credits, you will get access to our monthly film clubs. We have a big backlog of those now, and we're doing them on a monthly basis. As again, the one that's coming up any day now is Frequency. So stay tuned for that. And then we'll have a holiday themed one.
Ooh.
For Christmas/holiday
Have you
season.
picked it
So
yet? Probably not.
no,
Yeah.
no, not yet. So there's still If you have suggestions.
Oh my god. Do Hot Frosty.
What is that?
It's a new
It's a new one?
It looks bad.
Bad
But
in a
bad
good
in
way?
like a good way. People are like,
Okay.
this is
Wait.
so
Is it the
stupid.
one with
It's the guy from Schitt's Creek.
Oh, I was thinking there's a new holiday movie with Ben Stiller.
No.
So I'm fascinated by that because I haven't seen Ben Stiller do a lot lately.
Yeah.
And I think like a classic Ben Stiller in over his head,
Yeah.
flustered movie would be right up my alley.
No, this one is about a carved snowman man
Who comes to
that
life?
comes to life. And
Uh-huh.
it's like the girl, I don't know, there's like a girl and she's sad or divorced or something.
uh-huh.
She's like, oh, this hot snowman came to life and I have to teach him how to be a real man.
What about that new one with The Rock, where the Santa's all swole and stuff?
Oh, that sounds hilarious too. But yeah.
Okay. Anyway, there's lots of options. So if
Yeah.
you have suggestions, towerbabblepodcast@gmail.com. You can send in your
Yeah, or
suggestions for.
Tweet at us on Blue Sky.
Yeah. Skeets.
I'm not calling them skeets. I hate
I,
that.
it's unclear if it's an official term or just a term adopted by the.
I
by
haven't
the,
seen
like, the people
anyone
who
call
use
it
it.
skeets yet.
I
Except
I
you.
hear it all the time on podcasts and stuff.
All right.
Yeah. I'm not making this up. I wouldn't just use that loaded term without having like a reason.
Yeah.
You
I
know.
don't know. My millennial is showing.
Skeet,
I
skeet.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
God.
Great song though.
Yeah. Great song.
Is it like who is that? Exhibit or?
From the window to the wall. I
Yeah,
don't remember.
great.
It's like Lil Jon, I think.
yeah. Yeah, classic, really.
Yeah.
Classical music. Okay. On that note, we will be back very soon with more Star Wars.
Yeah.
But until then, may the Force be with you, matey. Yar.